Grassham and his crew out early this morning. How about dawn, shoveling snow along with a number of members of the Rockies organization. They got 4+ inches removed, and the field looked dynamite. I walked on it about an hour ago. It is truly remarkable what they've done, the transformation. There are all kind of tweets this morning, and people around baseball looking at the field saying there's no way they're going to play in Denver today. Wrong. The Rockies and Dodgers are ready to go, and quite frankly, these may be the best conditions we've seen all week long, other than that the temperature right now is 37 degrees. Jock Peterson on this Mother's Day will lead things off for the Dodgers. They have the second best record in the National League to the St. Louis Cardinals. And Don Mattingly's Southwest Airlines lineup brought to you by Southwest. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Jimmy Rollins will bat second. Then Howie Kendrick, who didn't play on Friday night, he had a day off. He'll be in the 3 spot. Adrian Gonzalez having a terrific season. Alex Guerrero's in there. Then Chris Heisey and Enrique Hernandez, a new player to the Dodgers. A.J. Ellis, Clayton Kershaw will bat 9th. On the mound for the Rockies is Jorge De La Rosa, making his 4th start of the year, looking for that first W and looking to end an 8-game slide for the club.
No question. And you turn to somebody like De La Rosa, 12 innings on the year, 19 strikeouts so far. 7 of the 14 runs given up by De La Rosa have happened in the first inning. Obviously controlling that, his home record 59-24. That also includes Milwaukee and Kansas City. So he likes pitching at home, particularly here at Coors Field, where he's gone 23-4 since April 2nd, 2011. That's impressive.
Is that any good? 23-4?
Who said you can't pitch here?
So here we go as Peterson steps in. The 37 degrees for a temperature at first pitch is tied for the 7th coldest in Rockies history. And the first pitch is a check swing foul ball, and it's 0-1. A lot of players naturally, it's become a tradition using pink bats. Look at the pink spikes. I like those that De La Rosa is fashioning today. That's fouled off. 0-2. And a pink lineup card. Looking out on that infield dirt, there's a lot of diamond dry mixed in. Mark Razum told me this morning that they have used 6 tons of diamond dry this week, which normally takes them through 2 to 3 months.
It's been a difficult week, there's no question, with the amount of rain and the snow last night. Typically, you see De La Rosa in this situation go to that split, try to get the chase in the dirt, and he does.
And that's what he did. He had 9 punch-outs in his last outing, and he begins by striking out Jock Peterson to begin the afternoon. And that'll bring up the switch-hitting veteran Jimmy Rollins. Rockies defensively against Kershaw. Yavi Noah's in left field, 2nd career start out there. Drew Stubbs, who's getting the start in center. Charlie moves to right. Arenado, Tulowitzki, LeMahieu, Willeen Rosario, just brought back a couple of days ago to the big leagues. And Nick Hundley. So the Rockies trying to stack their lineup with as many right-handed bats as possible. And here's Rollins from the right side. And the Rockies put a shift on. And Jimmy tried to bunt his way on, and I guess he pulled it back. It's called a ball by Todd Tishner.
In his career, 5 for 17, a home run, 4 RBIs. Hit 294 against De La Rosa in his career. Struggling to get going this year. The home runs, the RBIs, pretty good. The average not.
He's not alone. There's been a lot of guys, big name guys, Frage, that are off to slow starts. Probably the most notable is Chase Utley, his former double play partner. But even the great Andrew McCutchen, I saw today he's hitting 220.
Yeah,
and he's brought it up to get to 220.
Guys will correct that as the season progresses, I'm sure.
And that's outside. 3-0 on Rollins. Howie Kendrick on deck. Well, we saw that the other day. Jimmy's halfway to first. The bat's over toward the dugout. We saw that with two different players. Cargo did it, and I'm trying to think a Dodger did it on Friday night also. Thought it was ball 4 and got rid of all their equipment.
Well, I look to see where this pitch is located. Appears to be off the zone with the forward strike zone, but it tells you what Todd Tichenor may be working the zone today.
And veteran guys will not show up and umpire unless they're absolutely sure. May have been a gift from Tichenor. That was in there. Now it's 3-2. You got to mentally get yourself right after doing that, though, you know.
Well, a couple of things happen here. You get the dirty looks, and then all of a sudden, you know, you got the comments. Did he go around? I think he did, but also called a strike by Tichenor on the outside corner. He did not point at the bat. He pointed at the pitch.
Here's the 3-2. Popped up left field line. Nolan decides not to dive into the second row. Here's a tweet from LaTroy. Yeah, May snowstorm.
What was it with the Mets a couple of years ago? Was it May that we got hit with that 20-inch snow? When was that? 2 years ago? 3?
Here's another 3-2. I'm trying to remember. Was it 2 or 3 years ago where the organization, it seemed like every other day, was out shoveling snow?
Well, Terry Collins was out, the manager of the Mets. Sandy Alderson went out. Everybody was out there. Owner Dick Monfort, Charlie Monfort, Greg Fiesel. Everybody was out trying to get the field playable when they had that heavy snowstorm.
(3-2) and it's on the ground to Troy, and he'll throw out Rollins by a step. Good communication on the left side. 2 outs. That was 2 Aprils ago. Look at Mark Stout. Look at that. Mark said, all right, roll the camera. I'm going to dump one pile of snow in there, Charlie.
Yeah.
They didn't build Rome in a day.
Here's Kendrick. That's what they were doing this morning. Howie Kendrick with a base hit the other way. That snow today, did a little shoveling at home, and you were late. How come I thought you were going to help me shovel, by the way.
I missed it. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
It was heavy snow.
That's what you have 3 sons for.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get them out of bed a little earlier.
Gonzalez 349 in his career versus De La Rosa. 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. He has struck out 14 times in those 43 at bats. Left-handers have hit 224 against De La Rosa in their career.
Tell you what, the off day yesterday, unscheduled off day with the rain out, did for Don Mattingly. He was going to sit Adrian Gonzalez one of the games this weekend, just give him a day, and obviously he got a day, not planned, so that's why he's in there against the lefty De La Rosa, coupled with, as George mentioned, he has great numbers against him, the 349 average.
He got great numbers against everybody. De La Rosa's problems part of this year with nobody on base. The opposition has hit 208 with runners on, 433. Good pitch, way out front foot. It's all about location and finishing the split. That's exactly what happens here. A lot of times guys at home that have played the game, you hear us call split finger. It's because of the break of that split finger. Scouts mistake it for a hard slider also. The slider will range 85, 87, touching 88 at times. The split's more in the 83 to 85 range.
And a strikeout of Gonzalez. Well done by De La Rosa. Gave up the knock to Kendrick. Couple punch outs in the top of the first for the top dog on the Rockies staff. clean, crisp Coors Light. And by Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. Well, while they were working on the field, a lot of folks were hosing down the snow in the stands to melt the snow and then dry off the seats. A collaborative effort once again, and the field is in immaculate condition. Really amazing. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead things off for the Rockies. 286 lifetime average against Kershaw. Here's the Southwest batting order for Walt Weiss against last year's Cy Young and MVP award winner LeMahieu, Tulowitzki, Arenado, Rosario about fifth. Hundley's got an 11-game hitting streak. Stubbs, Enoa, and De La Rosa. The first pitch misses ball one, which is kind of unusual for Clayton Kershaw. Not only does he have dominant stuff, he seems to always be ahead in the count. He's fouled off and out of play.
Last 12 starts versus the Rockies, Kershaw is 9-1 with a .214 earned run average. And everybody's looking at his numbers now at 1 and 2, high earned run average. Don't panic if you're a Dodger fan. His April numbers 8 and 10 in his career. All the rest of the months 91 and 41.
Isn't that something? That's high. 2 and 1. And here's something else that's really strange, because the Dodgers are 19 and 10. As I mentioned, they have the second best record in the National League to the Cardinals. And yet in the 6 starts for Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers have lost 4 of those starts.
Last week in Milwaukee, he had a sizable lead. I think it was 4-0 at the time, and then things fell apart in the 7th. They ended up, their ball club lost that game as he tried to finish things up in the 7th.
Here's the 3-1.
Today would be his, if he is able to accomplish it against the Rockies, his 100th victory in his career. He's 99 wins and 51 losses. The only one to reach it quicker, Felix Hernandez, 27 years and 14 days.
Here's the 3-2. And he comes all the way back and strikes out Blackmon. A couple borderline pitches. So Charlie's gone, and that'll bring up DJ LeMahieu. It's what George was referencing, the youngest active pitchers at the time of their 100th win. Felix Hernandez, CC Sabathia, Mark Burley, Clayton Kershaw attempting to win his 100th against just 51 defeats. 7-3 lifetime at Coors Field with a .458 ERA.
Yeah, there's been times they've gotten after him at Coors Field.
Well, the last 4 he's been terrific. He's 4-0 with a 2 zip ERA. Here's the 1-0 on DJ, and that's it. 1 ball, 1 strike on LeMahieu.
With all of his success, surprising that in postseason he's 1 and 5 with a .512 earned run average. I don't know if it's the innings that mount up with that. He's had 5 of the last 6, over 200 innings a year.
This ball is lined to center field. Peterson misjudged it initially, and then he gets back and makes the catch. You know what, George? If you think about that statement, last year in the postseason, it was 2 7th innings. He was really good until the 7th inning twice, and then it just blew up on him.
It amazingly blew up.
Defensively, the Dodgers will have Chris Heisey, the veteran, in left field. Jock Peterson's in center, and Kike Hernandez is in right. Guerrero's at third. He's more of an infielder. Rollins, Kendrick in the middle. Adrian Gonzalez at first. A.J. Ellis has caught 5 of the 7 starts for Clayton Kershaw, just his 9th start overall behind the plate. Reference Guerrero because we saw Guerrero on Friday night in left field. They're trying to get his bat out there.
Tulowitzki, 3 career home runs. He's hit .255 against Kershaw. You start to talk about home runs and Clayton Kershaw. In his career, he's #1 among active pitchers, less than 1 per 9 innings pitched. And he's already allowed 5 in 38 innings this year.
But if you look inside the numbers, George, you and I were kind of breaking it down before the ball game. The numbers are pretty similar to what the strikeouts. Actually, his strikeouts are above his career high.
He doesn't walk anybody.
Doesn't walk anybody.
It's usually that big inning that comes back to bite him.
He got painted a little bit in his last outing when he went 7 1/3 against Milwaukee.
And the bullpen is their youngest part, most inexperienced part of this Dodger ball club. Peralta's on the DL. Matter of fact, they have $70 million on their disabled list right now.
2-2, and the curveball strikes out Troy Tulowitzki. So 2 strikeouts for Kershaw in the first. No scores. We go to the second.
Players about their moms being instrumental in their careers. And I asked Justin Morneau about his mom, who is Audra, if they talk about baseball.
No, that's what's great. And I call my mom, I don't have to talk about baseball. So talk about everything other than baseball. Every once in a while she'll make a comment or say it was a good game or a long game or whatever. But, you know, for the most part, it's she's just happy that her son's calling home. So.
Now, Drew and George, it's interesting that he says that because his mom was a fast-pitch softball player in Canada, and he says it's the reason why he hits left-handed. He says genetics, because she was a left-handed hitter, too. So I'm sure she knows a little bit about the game.
I'm sure she does, too.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that was the best part about my mother, who's not with us anymore and passed in January. But it was, you know, the phone calls were always, how's the kids doing? How's things going? She knew better some nights. My dad, on the other hand, well, you should have thrown a slider. Thanks, Dad.
Alex Guerrero at the plate. He lines this ball toward right center field, and it is over the head of Charlie Blackmon. And Guerrero is going to have a leadoff double in the second. He's forced his way into the picture with the Dodgers. When the Rockies were in LA and the Dodgers swept the Rockies, we didn't see Alex Guerrero, and it was shortly thereafter he started hitting home runs every appearance. Got a couple pinch hit home runs, and now, coupled with the injuries to some outfielders, Alex Guerrero is getting a lot of playing time.
Well, again, he took that pitch from De La Rosa. It's down and away from him and got a chance to extend. Didn't try to pull that sinker, just took it into right center. That was a pretty good swing, pretty good at bat.
The former Cincinnati Red, Chris Heisey's at the plate. Cutter's in. What's interesting about this Dodger lineup today is they don't have anybody with an RBI from the 6th spot on down. It's the 1-0, and that's a ground ball to the left side. And now it's runners at first and third and nobody out. That's the first hit in the Dodger uniform for Heisey. You can join the conversation all year long. Send us your thoughts, photos via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Use the hashtag ToyotaTalk. We'll get you involved. So work to do now for De La Rosa. Enrique Hernandez goes by Kike. Houston and Miami last year. And that's on the inside corner for a strike. So the Rockies already this year have had 4 postponements, 3 this week. The previous homestand, the last game against the Giants, was postponed. That matches the all-time mark for postponements in a season. That ball is gloved by Arenado, and he's going to get an out. Run scores. Arenado steals a base hit from Hernandez. He gets a ribby. It's 1-0 LA.
But it just ceased to amaze me what he does. It's just amazing how quick he is. That's a one-hop line drive, dive for the baseball, and be able to get to his knees, make the perfect snap throw on the DJ. Not have a chance to turn the double play, but it's not first and second and nobody out. Now you've got the double play in order and only 1 run in.
Well, hopefully it will assist in minimizing the damage for De La Rosa here in the second. And George, as you described, when he got up to his knees, he had to get a lot of pepper on that throw. You had a guy at first base in Heisey who runs decently, and if he doesn't get a lot on that throw, you're not going to get the force at second. Ellis fouls it off. 2 strikes on A.J. Ellis. One and two. Dodgers came into the game second in the league in runs scored. They've won 7 straight against the Rockies. Their second longest stretch of consecutive victories against the Rockies. This should be 2.
Just what the doctor ordered, on time.
In the inning, there was a double by Guerrero. He eventually scored on an RBI groundout, so the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead. Middle of 2 on Mother's Day 2015. 63. Denny McLain, his historic year in 68. Bob Gibson that year, that great pitching season of 1968. Gibson had a 1.12 ERA that year. Vita Blue, Roger Clemens, Justin Verlander. Suffice it to say, George, if you're on that list,
pretty good.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys have
good.
that HOF behind their name.
Yeah, well, Sandy Koufax in 63 went 25-5 with a 188, and he struck out 382. 380. If you hit 200 strikeouts, that's something else. That's a hot shot by Arenado, but Kendrick equal to the task, 1 out. Think about that. He almost doubled that. Denny McLain went 31-6 in 68 with a 196.
Well, not only that, you're talking about those strikeouts and the records and all that. Look and see how many innings they pitched.
A lot.
320. 330.
I understand the game's different.
Much different.
And different doesn't mean that the guys before are always better. This ball is chopped to short. Rollins had to retreat, long throw, and he's going to get relieved by a half a step. So 2 ground balls, and they're too quickly out.
Tough hops here. You got to be quick to sit back on it. Jimmy Rollins, the veteran shortstop, realizing second hop's going to get faster and harder. Backed up, took it off the chest a little bit, planted off that back foot, stayed right behind the baseball all the way to Adrian. Another good look at it here from the first base area. Bob it a little bit in the glove. Those are tough to handle because there is so much speed coming on the baseball in that second hop.
Nick Hundley riding an 11-game hitting streak. Just to finish that thought, the expectation, though, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, was that you were going to finish what you started. And now, the mindset of starting pitchers, they're taught differently.
Trained.
They're trained differently. 6 innings, and you've done your job if you hold the opposition to 3 runs or less.
Well, the biggest thing then, you had 4-man rotations and 4-man bullpens. You had 8-man staffs, and a lot of times maybe 9. By the way, a quick note on that, Drew. John Gray, 2 innings, no hits, 2 strikeouts. Tim Smalling has hit a home run. They're beating Sacramento 2-0 through 2.
John Gray was better in his last outing, and hopefully he continues to build on that. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. Nick Hundley with the career best 11-game hitting streak. The longest so far in baseball this year, Juan Uribe, the Dodgers, A.J. Pierzynski now with Atlanta. And currently, D. Gordon, Wilson Ramos, and the young kid for Chicago, Addison Russell. They've all have 12-game hitting streaks. 2-2 on Nick. And he went around. So another 1-2-3 inning for Kershaw. He has 3 strikeouts. Now his career strikeout number 1,499. George Frazier and Mark Stout. I'm Drew Goodman. Rockies, after the ball game, will head immediately to the West Coast in the sunshine of Anaheim. They will not play tomorrow. It's a scheduled day off. They'll play Tuesday and Wednesday against the Angels of Mike Trout and Albert Pujols, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the City of Angels against these Dodgers. So the Dallas native Clayton Kershaw at the plate, 1 for 13 this year. Out of Highland Park in the Dallas area. It's right where SMU is located, if you're familiar with Dallas a little bit. Beautiful area.
Yeah, former Rocky Jamie Wright lives there. As a matter of fact, he told me a couple of years ago, he said in the offseason, my hardest part was catching Clayton Kershaw. We'd go work out together, play catch, and he'd say, you know, you're the old guy, just go out down there and catch me. I'll be all right. And he usually would. Just a little quick roundup very quickly, as if I can. Albuquerque 12-18, 9 back. New Britain off to a hot start, 21-7. They are leading the Eastern League. Modesto at 500, 7 games back. Freddie Ocasio managing the ball club at Modesto this year has done a very good job. The Asheville Ball Club 13-16. They're 5 games back. Trevor Story still up to that hot start, 360, 5-22. Tommy Murphy 337, 6-17. Johan Flande, who pitched in the big leagues last year for the Rockies, is 5-0 at Double-A, 136 ERA. Austin House with 11 saves on the year.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Kershaw. And that just missed. De La Rosa thought it was strike 3.
Well, we got a guy flipping a bat, then you got a guy doing this and that, and then you got a pitcher like, come on, ring him up. It is off the plate, but barely. Yes, worked off that outside corner.
And the 3-2. Slowly hit. Arenado can steal it. He will. Kershaw's running hard. And Rosario stayed on the bat. You know, pitchers usually give it the
sure they do.
Courtesy jog. Kershaw busted it up the line.
Left-handed hitter, high chopper, thinking, you know what, I might have a base hit out of this. Kershaw on the year, 0.77 average. Nolan, a couple of pumps, and then a wide throw held and stepped by Rosario.
It's a good play by Willeen. Well,
you can't plant and commit yourself early to where you think the ball's going to go. You got to wait till it's released, then be able to stride to the baseball as a first baseman. De La Rosa, 764 strikeouts, just 9 away from Ubaldo for the all-time strikeout leaders in the organization.
And Jock Peterson, a strikeout victim, his first time up.
They get him on a good split down and away. They've got another young player, Corey Seager, that plays at was in Double-A, would hit 390. He's the shortstop of the future. A number of scouts tell me that they think he's major league ready right now. Recently bumped to Oklahoma City, their AAA affiliate, and has played well there also.
It's good baseball playing family, isn't it? Kyle Seager with Seattle. This ball is on 2 hops to second. LeMahieu throws out Peterson.
Now, that's one of the adjustments you have to make when you first start to play first base. And Willeen started to make that mistake. If you're going to go commit to the baseball, and again, that's, you got to know the positioning defensively of where your guys are. And with you know, LeMahieu was playing over into the hole, ball hit to the right side. That ball's pretty good chance it's going to get caught. You go to the bag.
Jimmy Rollins grounded to short his first time up. And J-Roll takes a strike. You look at the Philadelphia Phillies record book, and Jimmy Rollins is everywhere in that record book. Second all-time in games played, first in at-bats all-time, first in hits with more than 2,300. Doubles first, home runs he's 9th, ribbies he's 8th, runs scored he's 3rd. He is one of the all-time Philadelphia Phillies, and he pushes a bunt, and this is going to be a tough play. And out at first base. De La Rosa got his foot on the bag in front of Rollins. Davey Lopes kind of hanging around. Clint Fagan, the first base umpire. And we'll see if Don Mattingly challenges this. He may.
Yeah, waiting on that phone call from upstairs. Athletic play by De La Rosa to be able to catch the ball barehanded on the run and be able to make that play. Yeah, Donnie wants to challenge it. Put them on. He points to the headsets. Let's put them on, boys. Take a look at this. Nick Cunley like, Jimmy, you were out. Come on. There's 2 outs.
Well, it's time for a Subaru review. Whether you're on the road or at the game, everybody could use a second set of eyes.
One more look here, and look into the box. You can see the flip to De La Rosa. He has the ball. Damn, oh man.
That's close.
That is really close, but I think, oh, this will tell it right here. Great camera work, guys. You know what? As much as I hate to say it, I think he's safe, Drew.
Yeah, I think Rollins' spikes came down on the bag slightly in front of.
And I mean, we're slowing this thing down tick, 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 and that's not the thing that the umpire gets to do.
I know Nick Conley thinks it's going to go against the Rockies. He's already
you know what,
he wants De La Rosa to stay loose.
Well, the main purpose behind that is whether you think it's going to go or not going to go, he needs to be throwing pitches on the mound versus walking up cold turkey. You're not going to get any more to warm up after this review. So as a pitcher, I've never understood that anyway. If you've got a break in action for a review, get on the mound. Throw some pitches here.
It's funny, I'm watching as De La is throwing the warm-up pitches. He's looking back at the big screen to see safe or out and make his own
we'll know right
assessment.
Now. Headsets are starting to come off. So we will hear this. Called him out.
Called him out. Great. I guess it's one of those deals like the other night where they didn't feel like there was overwhelming evidence to flip the call. So we'll go to the bottom of the third, 1-0 LA. Base runner against Clayton Kershaw, who wants tacos. When the Rockies score 7 or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day. Do it between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special with Moss at Taco Bell. Strike 1 on Drew Stubbs. That's the kind of week it's been. That's great. I've seen a lot of things at the ballpark. I've never seen anybody come prepared to go overboard. The life vest. That is hysterical. 1 ball, 1 strike on Drew Stubbs. It's felt that way. 1-1. Excuse me, 1-2. Great curveball. That is filthy. 4 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. He has struck out 4 of the first 7, and it'll bring up Rafael Inoa. That strikeout is number 1,500 already in Kershaw's career. He's 6th all time in Dodger annals. He's chasing Fernando Valenzuela. He won't get there this year. Number 1 is Don Sutton. Drysdale's 2. Koufax is 3. Ball 1 on Rafael Inoa.
Doug, I'm not trying to get you wound up today, because you can get wound up, because you made Dutch pancakes for Elizabeth today.
This is topped over the mound. This is going to be a tough play. No play. It's an infield hit for Rafael Inoa.
I think one of the hardest things for middle infielders, or really any infielder, is when do I use the glove and when do I need to barehand this? Easier from the left side. Everybody's running out in front of you. Jimmy tries to come in and get it with the bare hand. Would he have had time, looking at it from this perspective, would he have time maybe to try to get it into the glove and make the exchange that way versus the bare hand? Tough play for middle infielders.
Especially when you have a guy who can run a little bit coming out of the box. So EY counseling Inoa, 1 out. De La Rosa will try to, you would assume, sacrifice him. Guerrero way in at 3rd base, and here comes Adrian Gonzalez down the line. That was pulled back. It's in there for a strike.
Well, let's take a look at it from the very high spy cam. This thing's up in space. You got right here. I think you got a chance to go to the bear, to the leather, to the hand, to first. Didn't know we had a drone above home plate.
Pretty great bunt.
Great bunt.
For De La Rosa, that's not easy. Left on left, and the lefty being Kershaw gets the bunt down exactly where he wanted to. So with 2 outs, the Rockies an opportunity to tie it. Charlie Blackmon coming up.
And a good guy to have up there. Charlie on the year, we mentioned it, 6 for 22 in his career against Clayton. Stayed with it. That's why he was very good at this. Well out in front of home plate. Got himself in a good bunting position. Laid it perfectly up the 3rd base line to throw on over to Howie Kendrick.
Charlie got himself in a hitter's count his first time up. 3-1 count. Then he chased a couple of fastballs that were borderline high and ended up striking out. Pretty solid numbers, though, against Kershaw in his career. Came in at 286 with a home run. Slider misses. Good speed at second, and Inoa. And this is popped up. Left side, Jimmy Rollins calling for it. So the Rockies get their first hit. Inoa's left at second. We'll go to the 4th. The Dodgers 1 and the Rockies nothing.
Earlier, you heard from Justin Morneau about his mom. How about Daniel Descalso and his mom, Mary Lou?
There's 6 of us, so I feel like she spent a lot of her time shuttling us between various practices and events, and making sure we had our uniforms clean and all our stuff in order. So some of the thankless things out there that we take for granted, but she was on top of all that and make sure all of us were where we needed to be when we needed to be there.
So a lot of siblings in the Descalso family, and you guys know you have to have your uniform clean when you play growing up. That's the most important thing to be ready to play. So good words from Daniel about Mary Lou, his mom.
Well, I'll tell you something. I know my wife, I don't know how she does it. We have 3 boys, and Mrs. Descalso chasing 6 around. You know what Chris did one day, this a couple years ago? She was tired of trying to find the cups for the boys because they get lost. She went out, ordered like 20 of them at one time. So we were never without cups.
Well,
and the uniforms, I think there may be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 200 pair of baseball pants
somewhere.
Yeah.
I
don't know how she does it, but babe, happy Mother's Day. 1-1 on Kendrick, now 1-2.
I had kind of a system at home. I didn't always just kind of do the laundry. Kay and I would, and I just put it in the bag the next morning. So one's playing basketball, one's playing rugby, one's playing baseball. Just walk out with your stuff and take it with you. If it doesn't get back, part of that won't be with you tomorrow.
Here's the 1-2 on Kendrick. Swung on and missed. So De La Rosa with another strikeout. He's got 3 of those.
Well, you always like to have those Sunday afternoon pitching matchups. You got one today, folks. It looks like both these guys are on their game. De La Rosa coming in here. Hard slider this time. More velocity, shorten the breakup, but a very good position for the baseball.
Adrian Gonzalez struck out his first time. Leading the National League in slugging percentage at .727. And this ball's hammered to right center field, and Charlie can't catch it. It's about where he hit his double on Friday night on his 33rd birthday to drive in the first Dodger run. So it's a 1-out double for Gonzalez. Rafael Palmeiro had a real effortless swing, and when I watch Adrian Gonzalez, it seems the same way. I mean, it's just so smooth.
Everything's about timing, and he does it great because that front leg gets down as the hands start to come forward. Back leg drive of the baseball, and it's, even though it's a shorter backside swing, it gets pretty long through the zone, so he has good plate coverage in driving the baseball.
Alex Guerrero doubled to about that same spot.
Fastball away, outside corner that he hit into right center.
Yeah, and he ended up scoring the only run of the ball game. One of the things De La Rosa does better than anybody else in the Rockies rotation, he can go get a strikeout, George, when he needs to.
Well, the fastball's back, the arm strength's there. It's 93, 95, and then you have 2 secondary weapons, the slider and the split, to get those strikeouts with.
Here's the 0-1 outside with that fastball at 94. Guerrero spent 8 years playing for Las Tunas in the Cuban National Series. Hit .303 there with over 100 home runs. I've been waiting his turn in LA. You got to give the Dodgers a lot of credit, George. They have that 19-10 record. Of course, they have great financial resources. We all understand that. But they're playing without their closer, Kenley Jansen, who just finished his 4th rehab assignment yesterday. So he's getting close to coming back. Carl Crawford and Yasiel Puig are out, 2 of their starting 3 outfielders.
McCarthy, starting pitchers, out for the rest of the year.
And they've still been accumulating the wins. Well, De La Rosa wanted a strikeout. He sought a strikeout, and he got a strikeout at Guerrero. 2 outs.
And he went all fastballs. Before, on his first strikeout of this inning, it was the slider down and in. This time it's the fastball, and he just blew it by him. That's the benefit of having the extra pitches, the split or the slider. Secondary stuff that hitters know you can go to, particularly when your head counts. It allows you to throw the heat.
Chris Heisey out in front, pops it up, Huntley looking for a play, won't have one.
Schedule a group outing at Coors Field. Get discounts and scoreboard recognition when you bring a group of 25 or more to the ballpark, which is always a good way to spend a day or a night, is right here at the ballpark. Miguel Oliva was with that ball club a year ago. I got into it with Guerrero, didn't he? Bit his ear, yeah.
One ball, one strike on Heisey. Taylor Wynn's slider there was low. 2 balls and a strike. Way inside, 3-1. Heisey in his career has hit .385 at Coors Field. Last 5 years with Cincinnati. Acquired from the Reds in the offseason. A minor league pitcher. Here's a 3-1, and was there a swing? No. So a walk, first allowed by De La Rosa.
Well, we've mentioned this numerous times on the telecast. If I think the bat crosses through here, you almost got to ring him up. That was close enough.
The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. The promo code is ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. 2 outs, 2 on. Enrique Hernandez at the plate. Inside. Hernandez made his Dodger debut just a couple of weeks ago. He's an interesting player. He's a useful bench player, George, because he can play anywhere, literally. Play any of the 3 outfield spots, play anywhere in the infield.
Yeah, those guys really hard to find. They have the ability to play in the infield, play in the outfield.
Last year with Houston and Miami, he had appearances at second, third, short, and all 3 outfield spots. It's the 2-0. Now it's 3-0 on Kike Hernandez. One nothing LA, top of 4. That's in there, 3-1.
It's these types of innings that drive up the pitch count on De La Rosa. He's at 55, pretty good through 3 2/3, I should say. 35 strikes, 20 balls on the day.
And now he loses Hernandez. You're exactly right. You're going to end up throwing, depending on what happens here, 8-10 more pitches than perhaps was necessary.
And whenever you start hunting strikeouts, and I've gotten letters from fans that, why do you dislike strikeouts? I like strikeouts, but it also drives up the pitch count. I like strikeouts in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning with some power arms. I like for pitchers, starting pitchers, to work their way through a game with the least amount of pitches, get you to that 7th inning with the lead in about 85 pitches.
With every challenge called, the Subaru eyesight review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. He had one challenge already today that was upheld, worked to the benefit of the Rockies.
If I remember correctly, the Dodgers, hope it doesn't happen here, but have had pretty good success this year with the bases loaded. In the season, their ball club 318-7 for 22. Mr. Ellis has only had one opportunity with this, and that's right now.
1-0 on A.J. Ellis. The bases are full of Dodgers right now. Ellis grounded into a 4-6-3 double play his first time up. 2 outs in the 4th, and Ellis fouls that bat. 1-1.
Good fastball hitter, not particularly on the off-speed stuff. Counts even at 1-1.
Started behind the plate the last 4 opening days for the Dodgers. Yasmani Grandal's kind of taken over the #1 spot, though.
He's pretty typically, he's behind the plate when Kershaw throws. Kershaw has made 5 consecutive opening day starts. Second to only Don Sutton, 7 opening day starts for the Dodgers. There's that mix, you know, the Charlie O'Brien, Greg Maddux mix that you have, Ellis Kershaw mix, where they just handle it and the guy trusts him a little more.
He's caught 5 of the 7 Kershaw starts this year. Now it's 3-1. This has been the bane of the Rockies rotation this year. The base on balls. 1-0, and you can't afford to fall behind by much more with Kershaw in the opposition today. Here's the 3-1. Ball 4. That walks in a run. 3 straight walks, and it's 2-0 LA. That has been the story of the last 3 weeks for the Rockies, where they've lost 14 out of 18.
Well, De La Rosa wanted that pitch. It was inside. He was disappointed with Tishner behind the plate. Yeah, let's take a look at it. Yeah, it was a little bit inside there. De La Rosa first 3 innings, 1-3 ball count. Yeah, this inning hadn't been quite as much luck. Thank you, Dougie.
And you're in the bottom of the order too. I mean, you're talking about, you know, he walks Heisey, who hadn't had a hit yet this year. Kike Hernandez just came up from Oklahoma City. He was hitting below 200 down there. A.J. Ellis hitting a .154.
Yeah, Tulowitzki's having a little bit of a conversation at second base with Mike Everett, the crew chief, because the home plate umpire took exception to De La Rosa's disagreement with the ball 4 pitch. I think there's a little bit of a talking going on. Boy, to get out of this inning pretty easy here. Taylor's still giving him a stare down at home plate. You're better off just going to the dugout. Let that carry over to the next inning, not right now.
So a walk forces in a run. 2-0 LA.
As we go bottom four, there's DJ LeMahieu about to step into the batter's box. Here's his story on Mother's Day about his mom, Joan.
My one story, I got to embarrass my mom a little bit. I was pitching to her in Little League, and it was like right when I was learning how to throw a curveball. And so she kept saying, throw the curveball. I was like, Mom, I don't think you want to catch my curveball. And I threw my curveball, ended up she missed it, like hit her like foot. And it's like no more curveballs ever again. But no, she would always like put on the catcher's mask and catch me when I was a little kid. So
that's cool. She would put the gear on and catch DJ. She is here today too. He told me the first time that she's been at a Mother's Day game to see him play. So that's neat for DJ LeMahieu, guys.
Yeah, you know, it really is, Mark. And I think one of the things for fans at home, this is my 40th year in professional baseball. I think I've been home for 10, maybe 10 Mother's Days. I mean, you're working on Mother's Day, Father's Day, all the holidays. I never knew there was a holiday from April 1st till the end of October. You just didn't have them.
LeMahieu at the plate. He lined the ball to center field his first time up. DJ came in with a 360 average.
Tell you, his arm speed and deception with that delivery where he picks the leg up and then that hesitation out front and then coming forward again. He's just trying to pick the ball out of the glove so cleanly, and it's very difficult to do.
DJ's like so many of the Rockies so far this year. I know the wins have been tough to come by anywhere lately, but he's hitting higher on the road than he is at home. He's hitting 349 at home, which is terrific. He's hitting 370 on the road. He's got himself in a favorable count. It's 3-1. DJ fourth in all of baseball with that 360 average entering play today. Rockies down 2-0. Gift run last inning. De La Rosa all of a sudden, after not walking anybody, walked 3 in a row to force in a run. This guy typically doesn't walk anybody. And a walk. Thank you. Leadoff walks for LeMahieu, and that'll bring up Tulowitzki. Second base runner for the Rockies. Their only other base runner last inning, Inoa, had an infield hit. Tulowitzki this year 9 for 17 against lefties. This is any old lefty. 21-3 last year for Clayton Kershaw. 1.77 ERA. That's why he not only won the Cy Young, but also the MVP. And keep in mind, he missed a month.
Yeah, trying to ambush a pretty good pitch, thinking fastball. There was a slider under the hands. And elevated.
Tulo struck out his first time. Arenado on deck. Two hardest hit balls against Kershaw. LeMahieu's line out. Arenado a smash at Howie Kendrick that he fielded. Well, here the balls in every at bat, I should say, that Tulo's had against Clayton Kershaw. So the yellows are strikeouts. A lot of guys strike out against him. He has 3 home runs against him, and a couple pitches up, one up and in that he hit out, one center cut. Those strikeouts down are all sliders.
Well, he has second most home runs against Kershaw of anybody that's faced him. Dunn has 4. He's retired, living in Texas right now.
This is looped to right. This one should drop, and it will. Stopping at second base is LeMahieu. So the Rockies with something going here. 2 on, nobody out. In the right part of the lineup, Nolan Arenado coming up.
Typically, this is a guy that doesn't walk people. As a matter of fact, hadn't walked anybody in the last 2 starts, so that helped start this inning for the Rockies. Well, Tulo really trying to get his hands inside, got just enough lumber on it to dump it into the outfield. DJ waiting to make sure this thing's dropped. So now you got first and second, and you got Arenado. Arenado smoked the ball right at Howie Kendrick in his first at bat. Right behind him, Elaine Rosario, the hot shot to third. So hopefully the Rockies can get something here with nobody out. Arenado on the year with runners in scoring position is 5th in the National League with a .450 average. Holiday leads it at .522.
Nolan drives this ball to center field and deep. Peterson, though, is going to have room. Tagging's LeMahieu, and he'll move up. So it was not an unproductive at bat for Arenado. First and third now with 1 out. And Willeen Rosario, who in his career, George, has always put up prodigious numbers against left-handed pitching and even top shelf lefties. He's got good numbers against Kershaw. .304 average with a home run coming in.
4 RBIs. He has struck out 9 times in 23 at bats to go along with 7 hits.
First and third, 1 out. Outside.
Follow the Rockies baseball 2015 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet, featuring scores, stats, highlights, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today.
Willeen got 9 ball games in at Albuquerque, hit .343. No count on Rosario. He's got to be thinking, phrase, get something up. Obviously, stay out of that ground ball situation. It's something you can drive. Good speed at third, and LeMahieu. Tulowitzki's at first. And that'll work. Base hit left field. 2-1 ball game. Patient at bat for Willeen Rosario. Welcome back, baby bull.
8 for 25 now against Kershaw with 5 RBIs, and none bigger here than to keep the inning alive, get the run driven in, his 3rd of the year for Willeen. Yeah, that's a good job of hitting. Really cleared that front side out of the way, got the hands through the baseball on your Subaru Supremo. Nice job of hitting. And as Willeen said in the paper when he came back from Albuquerque, my swing is feeling really good right now. Really seeing the ball well, and obviously did here against Kershaw.
And it looked really good there. Absolutely. Here's Nick Huntley with the 11-game hitting streak. And Nick lines it down the right field line. Tulowitzki will score. Rosario's going to go first to third. Nick Huntley's tied it up. And for Huntley, it's now a 12-game hitting streak.
And 9 RBIs now for Nick. Tulo scores from second base on that shot to right field. And I like the way the Rockies rebounded and coming back against Kershaw and the Dodgers. Again, trying to get the fastball inside. It's shot out over the head of Adrian Gonzalez out of his reach into right field. Willeen alertly reached the baseball. He advances to third once he saw the ball down. And here you go again. First and third, just 1 out. Have that productive at bat for Drew Stubbs. Don't chase out of the zone. You struck out your first at bat. Don't know everything about how he has struggled this year. 3 for 27 against Kershaw in his career.
Yeah, everybody's back, George. Would you think about pushing a bunt, putting a bunt down here?
Not a bad idea. We saw it the other day with Arizona with Goosewich up. He lays the bunt down the third base line. First and third and 2 outs at the time, and 2 strikes when he did it. A little different guy at the plate, though. If he lays down a good bunt here, it's a base hit because his speed is tough to match.
First and third, 1 out in a 2-2 game all of a sudden. And that misses. So Kershaw, who's one of the premier first strike pitch guys in the game, falls behind again 2-0. He has thrown a first pitch strike 68.4% of the time this year. The big league average is a little better than 60% of the time. He's only 8 of 16 today. Two and 1. Kershaw's allowed 37 hits this year in coming in at 38 2/3, which is a high mark for him. For anybody else, you say, man, that's terrific. Part of the reason that he has had so much success. Yeah, nasty stuff, but he gets ahead early.
Not particularly a great move either at first base, and I know the fans at home probably didn't see this, but EY made a very quick move because the ball was in the dirt. And as a base runner, a lot of times you go to the outside part of the bag and you turn your head to protect your head and your face in case there's a wild throw. EY wanted to alert Huntley if that ball was in the dirt.
This is fouled off, and now it's 2-2. So Stubbs will really battle here, get in play somehow, even on the ground, because he's so difficult to double up. He can take the lead. Rosario's at third, Nick Hundley's at first. He struck him out, froze him his first time up with a curveball. Fastball there, and he misses down 3-2. Not by much, but it was low. Good job by Stubbs, fouling that pitch off.
When you're struck
5 on the inside corner.
You're struggling with an 0.69 average. I don't think you appreciate the way I do the at bat that he's having right now. Working it to a 3-2 count, fighting off some really difficult pitches. I'd love to see him come up with a base hit here or a deep fly ball, either way. A lot of positives can happen with a ball in fair territory with Drew because he can run. Tough to turn the double play. De La Rosa looking up, open for the base hits. Tack it on a little bit more. Both teams with 4 hits in the ball game, 2 runs apiece.
Kershaw really cruised through the first 3 innings. Walk, single, deep fly ball, and then a couple more singles against him here in the 4th. Another 3-2 to Drew Stubbs. And this is a squibber out in front of the plate. Rosario holds, no play anywhere. Good job base running by Willeen, George. And then by the time A.J. Ellis looked back to first, you got no shot at Stubbs, one of the swiftest guys in the game.
That's absolutely right. And this could be the one type of little flare hit out in front of home plate that gets Stubbs going.
But it was a battle, man. You described it.
It's a great battle. He fouled off 5 pitches. He worked count to 3-2. When he got to the baseball, he realized don't throw it first. Just try to keep everything correct at third base. As that ball bounced out in front of the home plate area, you can see Stubbs going. There's just not any chance to make a play whatsoever.
So Rafaeli Noah, 1 out, the bases loaded. He had the Rockies' first hit, a bouncer over the mound that Jimmy Rollins tried to barehand and could not. Rafi, a switch hitter out of the right side of the box. He runs well. Rockies trying to take the lead against the great Clayton Kershaw. This is slowly hit to first, and they'll come home and won't get Rosario. So Noah again got it in play. Good things happen, and the Rockies take a 3-2 lead. That was a tag play, obviously, at the plate, and Willeen easily scored standing up. So Noah gets the ribby, his 3rd of the year, and the Rockies a 3 spot against Kershaw in the 4th.
Yeah, this is huge to be able to come back right after they scored another run. The tag at first, you got to try to get the out, and that's what they did. But not in time. This throw was not there in time to get Willeen. Well, what would a base hit do here? Holy cow. Wild pitch, a number of things to keep it going.
De La Rosa at the plate. I tell you what, De La's going to get his swings off. Seen that before. Hundley at 3rd, Stubbs at 2nd. 2-strike count. Taylor lines one in the seats foul. Held up.
Wow, you know, I just took notice of this, Drew, with all the walks, the base hits, the flares. 30 pitches in this inning for Kershaw. He's at 61. Make that 62 for the game, but 31 in this inning.
Two and two on De La Rosa. And this is bounced up the middle with top spin off through base hit. Stubbs will follow Hundley home, and the Rockies have a 5-2 lead. Hip hip hooray! Jorge De La Rosa with a 2-run single. How about that, AB?
Yeah, you're thinking about this. Didn't chase the curveball in the dirt, just slapped it, a ball back up the middle, and a 5 spot on Clayton Kershaw, 5 hits and a walk put up in this ball game. That pitch was down. Jorge just slapped his hands at it, and it scoots through the infield here at Coors Field, and then it's off to the races as Hundley comes around to score. Stubbs with very good speed comes around to score. And mentioned in the earlier part of this, if De La Rosa could come up with any kind of a hit here to get a couple more across, it opened things up, and the Dodgers now trail by 3 in this ball game.
What stands out for me in this inning is guys who grinded out at bat. Stubbs, who's really struggled with swinging and missing, as we all know, grinds out at bat, fouls off 3 or 4 pitches, gets one in play. Listen, 5 feet out in front of the plate.
I don't care.
But it got him on base, kept the inning going. And De La Rosa, he grinded. He checked swing on a close pitch, spit on another borderline pitch, and then he got the ball in play.
Could have been very easy for the home plate umpire or the third base umpire, Tim Timmons, to ring up De La Rosa on the check swing. They didn't.
Now Blackman, the 9th man to hit here in the 4th inning. How often do you see guys stretching in the Dodger bullpen with Kershaw on the mound in the 4th inning?
Not often, if ever.
Way inside, 1-1. LeMahieu, who's on deck, started the inning out with a walk. Tulowitzki looped a single to right. Rosario has the sharpest hit in the inning. That was a line drive to left on a 2-0 pitch to drive in a run. 1-1. And this ball pulled to second. Kendrick is there. The Rockies hit around in the 4th, score 5 times against last year's National League Cy Young and MVP award winner. 5-2 Colorado as we go to the 5th at Coors Field. force in a run. Obviously not a good feeling when he finally got to the dugout, but he's got a whole different feeling right now. As the Rockies rallied for 5, and he was in the middle of it offensively as he bounced a single up the middle to drive in 2 runs. One of those guys was Drew Stubbs. Willeen Rosario had a big hit in the inning, and the Rockies with 5 runs against Kershaw. You know, in 216 starts against Kershaw, or in Kershaw's career, he's given up 5 or more runs in a game only 19 times.
Pretty amazing.
In a game.
Yeah, that's
talking about 1 inning.
Big time amazing number.
Jock Peterson at the plate. He's got a 2-tone pink bat. Peterson a strikeout and a ground ball to second. So Dougie did some quick research because we were wondering, how many times has Kershaw given up a 5 spot in an inning? He said only 19 times has he given up 5 or more period in a game in 216 starts. That was the 6th time in his marvelous career that he's allowed 5 or more in an inning. 6 times.
Yeah, well, let him get his 100th victory somewhere else. Hope the Rockies pitch their way through this thing and handle this lineup.
2-0, and now it's 3-0. So whatever started to occur late in that 4th inning, that trend, he's got to rewrite the ship.
Even though he's walked those 3 batters, walked a run in, he's still at just 65 pitches here in the 5th.
And a walk. That's 4 of the last 5 hitters he's walked.
Well, you're dangerously playing around here, and the only reason I say that is because who you're walking. You're walking your leadoff man of the inning. You're getting into their veteran part of this, and Steve Foster, he's going to make a quick trip to the mound right now to have a conversation with De La Rosa.
That was the 25th walk for Jock Peterson this year, which is 2nd best in the National League.
Dollar hot dogs are back for the 2015 season, and the first 10,000 fans on Tuesday, May 19th. They'll receive a coupon for 1. So make sure you get your tickets now for that ball game coming up on May 19th against the Philadelphia Phillies.
That misses. 5 straight out of the zone. Jimmy Rollins hit a couple ground balls. It's interesting when you compare the Rockies' rotation to their bullpen. Their bullpen has scuffled a little bit in terms of giving up runs during this difficult period the last couple of weeks. Misses 2-1. But in terms of walks, the rotation has walked, an inordinate amount. And the bullpen has done a good job limiting walks. But you cannot continue to put people on base. De La Rosa knows that. Here's the 2-1, and that's fouled off.
Well, a lot of those walks too. You go down and you start to look at everything involved in that. Tyler Matzik, a heavy amount of walks. Kyle Kendrick's had a few of those games where he walked 5.
And that wasn't Kyle Kendrick in Philadelphia. He did not walk out.
And the same thing with Jordan Lyles had a couple of those.
And Eddie Butler, the same thing. I mean, Butler's a 1-to-1 ratio, strikeouts to walks. That's not what you want. You want 2 and well above that if possible. Kershaw, for example, I know he's down in this game, came into the ball game 51 strikeouts, only 7 walks. That's better than 7-1. 2-2 on Rollins. Fouls it off. National League, the lowest average on the road this year in the National League. Jimmy Rollins has the second worst average at 135. There's one current Philly on that list and two former Phillies on the list. That's outside 3-2. Jason Worth, and you think of Utley, Rollins, and Worth, when they had it rolling, they were three of the big kahunas.
Yeah, one of the toughest things about the game of baseball is you get a little bit older, the bat gets a little bit slower at times, so harder on your body to get prepared for the season. Bad breaks, a lot of line drives, maybe hit it right at guys. Close plays at first, as Jimmy had already in this ball game early. But again, you mentioned over 2,300 hits in his career, a lot of doubles. This is somebody that it's a pretty good chance it's probably going to come back sooner or later. Yeah, John Gray, that ball game in Albuquerque right now, so a tweet about that. It's tied up 2-2. He'd gone 5 innings, 3 hits, a couple of runs, struck out 6 though in the ball game. So that was good to see.
De La Rosa, that's not good to see. Loses Rollins. He's now walked the first 2 in the inning. Here comes Tulowitzki to talk to the 33-year-old left-hander. He's now walked 5 of the last 6 hitters after not walking anybody for 3 2/3. And now you got Howie Kendrick, Adrian Gonzalez on deck. You're flirting with disaster after taking a 5-2 lead.
First 13 games of the year, Kendrick hit 367. His last 15, he struggled a little bit. 207 average now.
This is just the 4th time he's ever played a ball game at Coors Field.
Long-time Angel, didn't travel many days here.
7 for 15 in his at-bats at 20th at Blake, including the base hit in the first inning. Had a career best 181 hits last year for the Angels. And that's a ball. Brad getting restless. 2-0. Peterson, who can really runs at second, he walked. Jimmy Rollins can still fly. He's at first. Bullpen getting ready to go to work.
That's the difficult part of it, man. At times with De La Rosa, when you lose it, it loses quickly. You know, that's the difficult side of this. And the ball strikes have changed dramatically. 77 pitches, 41 and 36 now. It's almost 2-1 in the first part of this ball game.
And you're coming off a great high. You know, you send 9 to the plate, you score 5 runs.
That's the hard part.
And that's ball 4. Bases are loaded. This is reminiscent all of a sudden of what Matzik went through. He just walked the bases loaded. We're showing Walt Weiss. You always get criticism when you're the manager and the team's not playing well. What in the world can he do?
There's not a lot he can do because he's a pitching coach out already. The only thing he can do is get somebody up and make a change, and that's kind of where he's at right now. Christian Bergman's up throwing in the Rockies bullpen. And you know, in years past, De La Rosa would buckle down right now, get that final out, get the double play, get something to shorten things up.
I'll tell you one difference with Jorge from earlier in his career. I mean, you see the anger and the frustration on full display. He handles his emotions much better. You know, inside he's really hot. He gets a strike on Gonzalez. Gonzalez doubled in the 4th. Jorge struck him out on a slider in the 1st. Nobody out, bases loaded. Rockies up 5-2. We're in the top of the 5th. And that is pulled down the line. Fair ball. 2 runs will score. The trail runner's Kendrick. He's going to get a green light. Kendrick's going to score. And The RBI machine that's Adrian Gonzalez, just like that, ties it up with a 3-run double. And all 3 guys who walked scored.
Well, when you gift wrapped like Christmas for Santa Claus, you're going to get burnt. And he gift wrapped it for Gonzalez. So many RBIs coming into this ball game, 28 now on the year. This ball right on the inner half of the plate, and hands work good through it. A high fastball away from or out over the plate, and able to just pull it down that right field corner, which allowed everybody to take off to the races. And that scored. This is a kill the time moment with Nick Hundley going out to the mound right now, trying to get Berkman loose down in the bullpen. Then Walt's seen enough. He's going to go.
So De La Rosa staked to a 5-2 lead. Loses all form of command here in the 5th inning. We saw signs of it in the 4th. It's an epidemic right now with this Rockies rotation. They cannot consistently throw strikes. It's killing them.
Yeah, it's difficult for anybody to work through that, De La Rosa included in this situation. As each ball club's got 5 on the board. They got 5 hits apiece on the board, and they'll turn it over to Christian Berkman to try to slow these things down a little bit here at Coors Field.
So he drove in 2 runs with a base hit. All of a sudden could not throw strikes.
Well, it makes it a difficult day. There's no question about that.
Adrian
walk in one, go to the bases. Adrian burns you.
He walked 6 of 7 hitters. You know, earlier on in his career, we saw some of that. I don't think we'd ever seen something like a string like that, though, George. Walking 6 guys and 7 hitters.
I haven't seen it.
Bergman working to Guerrero as that went in there. It's 1-1. So De La Rosa goes 4+. See Jorge looking on. Guerrero fouls it off. Guerrero a double in the 2nd. First 3 innings, really, he didn't come close to walking anybody. If it one instance with Rollins where he had to come back from a upside down count, and he did. Hundley, foul tip, couldn't quite keep it in the glove.
And that's such a hit or miss anyway. I mean, when a guy fouls it off into a catcher's mitt, that could be difficult to try to hang on to that.
Yeah, it's really more good fortune than a skill.
Well, if you can teach that,
yeah,
I want to be the instructor.
Right. Bergman's 1-2, tried to paint the outside corner, just missed at 91.
It looks like he almost slipped. off his plant foot as he came off of the rubber.
George, I can't remember back to my youth. Were you a sleeves or no sleeves guy on a cold day?
No sleeves.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, doesn't matter what the temperature is, they just don't feel comfortable with that. Was that you? Didn't like it over your elbow?
Yeah, I didn't like it over the elbow. I mean, I'm sure there was times that, all right, I'm not going to pitch today, but I'm going to stay warm. And then, uh-oh, I'm pitching today. I got caught with some sleeves on, but typically no.
That ball's got a lot of English on it, so Guerrero, just to make sure, started to run. Fouled off. Adrian Gonzalez at second. There's nobody out. Chris Heisey's on deck.
It's going to be up to Bergman to eat a couple of innings up for this bullpen. The Rockies pitcher's not due. He's 8 spots away. Or maybe just pitch 1 inning and send 8 guys to the plate. How about that? Maybe he'd be better, wouldn't it?
That would work. And strike 3 on Guerrero. Good job by Bergman. Changed speeds. And he fooled Alex Guerrero. That's the first out of the 5th inning.
Well, all about arm action and the last of that head movement coming forward and being able to get him to not commit to the baseball. Fooled him. See, he tried to think, late start, late swing, and got it by him.
Heisey is single and a walk. Outside ball 1 on Chris Heisey. A few years back, the Rockies had interest in Heisey. Pop.
Versatile guy in the outfield, too.
Yep.
Can run a little bit. The Dodger affiliates now in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Trading back and forth an awful lot with their ball club and easy access. They've been able to claim and sign a lot of guys at AAA level. 22 pitchers on their AAA roster right now, with only 14 active.
Two and 1, no swing.
John Gray, 6 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. That ball game tied 3-3 in Sacramento.
And that by far the most he struck out in a ball game this year. 3 and 1.
92 pitches, 60 strikes on the ball game.
I know in his last outing, and I know you're not a big radar gun guy, but there had been rumors, he wasn't throwing as hard. He's touched 99 this year on a couple of occasions, so it's not like he's lost his arm strength.
Well, kind of the only reason I'm not big on that radar gun is people advertise it out there that he's throwing a 98, 99, and they happen to get to the big leagues, and all of a sudden they're 92, 93. Everybody goes, "Whoa, what have you guys been lying about? You've been telling us, everybody, 98, 99 miles an hour." That's the only thing I don't like about that. Of course, outs are the big thing. I don't care how you get them.
That's right. It's been working reportedly between 91 and 95, 96. In that range. Kike Hernandez, 2 on, force all around, and there's a strike. That walk to Heisey, that's 7 free passes allowed by the Rockies. Collectively, the rotation has to break this trend. One of the great truisms of the game, outside of T-ball, George. Starting rotations, got to throw strikes. You pitch, you have a chance to win.
Work deep into the games. By doing that, you're throwing the ball over the plate. You get quick outs, early outs, getting down the innings pretty quick.
Line drive, that'll turn into a double play. The flip from LeMahieu to Tulowitzki in the inning. 3 straight walks, and then the double by Gonzalez ties up the game. 5-5. 2015. 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground, no problem. Grounds crew did a marvelous job getting the fields
38 degrees,
ready.
let's play.
Yeah, one of the things that was started 10 years ago by Major League Baseball, and this is wonderful, to raise money for breast cancer awareness, for breast cancer research, and to support the Susan G. Komen Foundation. You see players using these beautiful pink bats, wearing the pink armbands, sleeves, pink sleeves in the case of some players today. And it's all to raise money. And one of the things you can do is go on the MLB website, and they have an auction section, and actually purchase some of these items. Many of them will be autographed. And again, that all of those funds go to breast cancer awareness. It hits close to home. My wife, 3.5 years ago, was diagnosed. She's doing great, thankfully, and so I know this hits close to home for a lot of people.
Oh, it does, very much so. And I think it's supported very much by Major League Baseball, by the players of Major League Baseball, front offices, the teams. And anything you can do is always help.
This is top to short. Rollins will throw out DJ LeMahieu. I'll tell you what, Clayton Kershaw, George, must feel like he got a reprieve after that last inning.
Didn't he ever?
Yeah,
he's averaged over 100 pitches a start. He's at 70 now, and if they give him that 7 innings and a chance, see what their bullpen does. They were up earlier in the inning when he was struggling back in the 5th inning. Excuse me, 4th inning. Rockies put the 5 spot up.
And to be honest, it's not like the Rockies tore the cover off the ball, but they had good at bats. Tulowitzki, after the walk to LeMahieu, little sand wedge to right. Nolan hit the ball hard deep center to move up LeMahieu. Rosario, I said this last inning, he had the hardest hit ball. He had a clean line shot single to left. Hundley kind of a punch single to right. Drew Stubbs, a ball that went about 8 feet for an infield hit, but a good at bat. Inoa drove in a run with a little squibber to first base. De La Rosa, top spin bouncer up the middle.
Take them any way that you can get them, and you'd hope you'd go out and have a shutdown inning with a 5-2 lead, and unfortunately he didn't. The last 2 innings, there has been a total of 9 runs put on the board.
And that is caught in the air.
Sure
by
was.
Rollins. So Jimmy Rollins used to battle Tulowitzki every year for who was going to win the Gold Glove, just robbed Troy.
Yeah, all about positioning, getting a move on the baseball depending on what the pitch is. That slider curveball is going to break in on the right-handers. Jimmy able to make that 2-step stop on this baseball, a sinking line drive. I thought initially when I looked that it had a little skip to it, maybe 1 hop into the glove, and then saw it was caught clean.
Yeah, I thought that as well. But the third base umpire, Tim Timmons, was right there. Nolan's hit the ball hard twice against Kershaw. Smoked the ball right at Howie Kendrick, and then hit a ball to deep center field that was tracked down by Jock Peterson. 1-0 on Nolan, 4 for 20 lifetime against Kershaw. Remember, George, did you see Kershaw pitch in high school?
I did not see him in high school. He stayed down in the Dallas area. They didn't come up. His school did not come up and pitch in the Oklahoma area.
I know a lot of those kids in Dallas do. That's
a
way of 2-1. Because I was wondering, was he as unorthodox in high school as?
It's same delivery.
Same delivery.
No, it changed off of that. He had the no-touch rule on him when they signed him. You know, you're not going to teach anybody to have that hesitation and the kick second, separate kick right there. You're not going to have guys doing that very often. They think he was 2-0 on Nolan. Then he went nasty slider at 86. He backed it up with another slider at 84 to even the count at 2-2.
Two outs, nobody on. And that's down the line. Fair ball. That should be a double for Arenado past the diving Alex Guerrero. So Nolan got a curveball, and he produces his 10th double of the year.
Yeah, right out of his reach. I mean, hit very hard right by Guerrero and down into that corner. Difficult play, not able to make it.
Well, he had the right guy up because Willeen Rosario had that sharp single his last time up in his career against left-handed pitching. Willeen's been in the big leagues now for a while. I know he just had to spend a couple weeks down in AAA, and that was not anything he did. He got caught up in a numbers game. A .331 lifetime hitter against lefties with an OPS around 1,000. He tore up AAA over 9 games. We mentioned that earlier. .343 average. That bounces up there. Ellis makes the stop. So in his career against lefties, .331 and it's over 1,000 OPS. For Walt, this is they're gonna put him on. They're gonna face Hundley. They feel more comfortable going at Hundley than Rosario for those numbers that we showed you.
Well, and also figured out. I mean, Donnie studies the numbers pretty efficiently, but then Hundley's also the guy with the 11-game hitting streak, and he also comes up with a base hit early in the ball game today. To see how all this plays out here with Nick coming up. I doubt that there's been very many times in baseball that Kershaw's intentionally walked anyone.
Yeah, he doesn't have to walk many guys intentionally or otherwise. It's his dominant stuff. But for Walt to have, and Rosario start today, George, but for him to have that piece now late games, that's a big time threat's huge.
And when you have a left-hander on the mound today and Rosario starts, you still have Morneau as a big piece off the bench late. It interchanges well.
Hundley, good take. Ball 1. He's been locked in. He's got the average above 350 on the season, so it's not just this current 12-game hitting streak. Rockies were up 5-2. It's 5-5 now. Try for a little 2-out magic here in the bottom of the 5th.
Kershaw struggled in the previous inning. They did have movement in their bullpen. There's no one up yet, and there is 2 outs. I get that, or understand that, I should say.
Two-0 pitch upcoming to Nick Hundley. On the outer edge, he didn't like it. 2-1. In fact, that was way off the plate. Look at the 4 strike zone. You kidding me?
Yeah, he missed by quite a bit here. A year ago, the umpire's strike zone correct 94% of the time. Seems like we're catching the other 6% today.
Yeah, but that was well out of the zone. Ground ball to first, tough hop, and Adrian Gonzalez used his chest and then flips it to Kershaw to end the inning. So the Rockies will leave 2 on, and we'll go to the 6th inning, tied at 5. energies and fun to drive. Ford, go further. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. 5-5 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Jorge De La Rosa couldn't get out of the 5th inning. Bergman took over, got the final 3 outs. And here he is working in the 6th inning. And A.J. Ellis will lead things off out of the 8th spot in the lineup for Don Mattingly. Christian Friedrich has gotten up in the Rockies bullpen. There's strike 1. Rockies with 6 hits. The Dodgers have 5. Neither team has committed an error. And that's strike 2.
He's got pretty good deception with his off-speed stuff today. He has worked the fastball. 19 pitches so far. Fastball that time at 87 miles an hour. A little cut fastball. Ahead of Ellis 0-2, making chase.
Careful. When the combination of Kershaw and Greinke start, they have a 2.62 ERA. Excuse me, a 2.02 ERA. Greinke's been unbelievable. He was supposed to start today. That's a line drive to right, and Charlie's going to get there. He'll start tomorrow against the Marlins. Rockies will see both Kershaw and Greinke next weekend when they play a 4th spot against the Los Angeles Dodgers in LA. The point being, when everybody else starts for the Dodgers, they have an ERA close to 5.
Yeah, they're struggling to get the rest of that rotation figured out. 3, 4, and 5 with the injury to McCarthy. Obviously, it kind of puts things in a little bit of a tailspin. They're trying to get things figured out and make sure theirs. You look at Zach Greinke enjoying the afternoon. Still hadn't warmed up. 38 degrees here at Coors Field.
Yeah, the original forecast said it was going to get into the 40s. That has not happened here. 37 at first pitch. It's improved by 1 degree. 2-0 on Greinke. Or excuse me, on Greinke. On Kershaw. Greinke's 5-0, George. In fact, Greinke has 6 quality starts. The Rockies, unfortunately, as a club, have only 5.
It's going to be interesting at the end of the year because Mr. Greinke can opt out of his contract if he wants to.
Well, I think if the Dodgers want him, which you assume they would, they have enough financial resources to make him happy. Let's go check in with Mark Stout with 2 outs. Mark, what do you got?
Hey guys, with Christian Bergman on the hill, let's hear from him about his mom, Karen, and talking about baseball.
I think she says it was one game where I think it was a Little League game, and she brought magazines to the game, and she was reading magazines during the game. And it might have been one game. It might have never happened. I don't really remember, but I like to, kid with her a little bit.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, not at all.
No, he's in the big league, so you can't bring magazines to the game and read them while he's on the hill. He told me today that when the Rockies go to Houston in June, and that's where she's at, her side of the family is going to be there, and she actually goes on the road and catches games, especially early on in the season when he was starting. But happy Mother's Day to Karen Bergman. I know that she watches a lot of the games, guys.
Well, I guess she could bring magazines when her son wasn't pitching. Not that she didn't want to support the other boys, but
yeah. Got to pay attention, right?
You're supposed to. But moms have a lot on their plate. We all know that. 1-0 on Jock Peterson. 2 outs, nobody on. Quick meeting there, George, on how to attack Peterson from Steve Foster.
Part of that was that, and you got Rollins who's going to switch. Is he better right, better left in his career? And then you look at that number, then you got to think about it with Friedrich getting loose. Was he loose in this cool temperature to come on maybe to face Pedersen? But this is what you're dealing with. They're trying to buy some time, get into some counts. Don't let him beat you. Don't take the fastball in certain areas.
Peterson put together one of the great AAA seasons on record last year. He was a 30-30 guy, 303 average, 33 homers, 30 stolen bases. Here's a strike. Drove in 78, scored 106. He had 100 walks. He had an on-base percentage of .435. That'll get you called to the big leagues.
That'll get you an opportunity. I think that's what led to the Matt Kemp trade, regardless, even if it was inside the division. They felt this young man would step forward, and he has so far.
Yeah, that was one of the things that made the Kemp deal really unusual. You don't see players of that ilk get traded inside a division. That's a line down the left field line with a tail on it. Unfortunately, it goes foul.
Well, if the left-handed bat is going to do that, Peterson, National League rookie leaders at home runs, RBIs, and runs scored now. Suites are still available for the May 22nd fireworks ball game. That's right. Prices start at just over $100 per person. Call to book that today. That was in the back of Drew's house about a week ago. I took some over to the house just to see we could do it, and I got the Fancy Root Sports fireworks out and let them go.
Yeah, we like to do that for the neighbors periodically. Why wait till the 4th, right?
Well, exactly.
Three and 2 on Jock Peterson. And a walk. He was careful with Peterson. Rollins coming up and step in from the left side for the first time today. Jimmy 0 for 2 and a walk. Rockies were up 5-2 if you're just jumping on with us. De La Rosa then began the 5th inning by walking 3 straight hitters. Peterson, Rollins, Kendrick, and one of the great RBI men of his generation came up, Adrian Gonzalez, and he's a machine. He lined a double down the right field line. Everybody scored. There went the 3-run lead for the Rockies. They're better pure RBI guy at baseball than Adrian Gonzalez.
Hard to think of one. Maybe Steve Trout, you know, over the last couple of years. Mike Trout, I mean. I said Steve, thinking of an old teammate.
Your old Cubs teammate.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, you got Trout's maybe one of those guys. You know, Adrian over the course of his career has been pretty special, Doug.
Well, the only guy who's got more ribbies since 2007 than Adrian is Miguel Cabrera.
Well, Trout wasn't in the big leagues till 2011.
Yeah.
Got to match him up some years here. Give him a chance.
But what I mean by that is
Right.
not just that he's driven in a ton of runs, but as you know, George, he's one of those guys that if a guy's out there, he gets them home.
Big RBIs in crucial situations in a ball game.
Yep. 2-0s in there. Went off speed. 2-1.
That's what makes Bergman so special, is he has that ability to throw the changeup, slider, and curveball when behind in count. You get in a hitter's count, typically they're thinking a lot of times fastball. And then he has that chance to throw something off speed. Misses poorly here with it. 81-mile-an-hour changeup, not even close.
It's funny watching the little traits of players, their idiosyncrasies, their superstitions. Troy came to the mound, and then whenever he goes back, he always touches second base. Here's the 3-1. It's 3-2.
Well, same thing on a pickoff move. Same thing when he goes to out to the field every time. He does the same exact thing. Part of his good luck trait of what he does.
Two outs. Peterson will be off. 3-2 misses, and that is 9 walks allowed by the Rockies today between De La Rosa's 6 and now Bergman's 3. Now, there's no way he's going to face the guy on deck. You hope that doesn't happen until next inning. Kendrick is coming up, a right-handed hitter, and after that is Adrian Gonzalez. So Bergman needs to get Kendrick. 2 outs, and now the go-ahead runners at second and Peterson. 0-1. I mean, some of these walk totals, George, you just don't make that kind of, you don't make that statement that the number in a big league game, 9 walks in a big league game. We're talking about the 6th inning.
That's what a lot of times you would expect that maybe in an A ball game or a high A game or maybe rookie ball where guys are wild and they throw hard. But at the big league level, difficult. And I'm sure Steve Foster knows that better than anybody, but it's just a difficult thing to try to overcome and take a charge of. Put it this way, you walk 9 a game, you're not going to win many. I'll tell you that right now. Ahead here, 1 ball, 2 strikes though, with 2 outs. Ball game tied 5-5.
As evidence of that, and this isn't a shocker, you're talking about 9 walks, 9 free passes. It's the 81st time in the Rockies' 23-year history that they've walked 9 or more in a game. In the previous 80, they are 10-70.
Doesn't work out well for you.
Make a pitch here. 1-2 on Kendrick, and it's fouled off. Florida native Howie Kendrick, pro's pro. Don Mattingly just raves about having Kendrick in his lineup, in his clubhouse.
Yeah, they gave up a pretty good player. D. Gordon went to the Miami Ball Club, and he's had a special year down in Miami. Leading the National League, all of baseball and hits. He's hitting over 400.
Line drive foul. Just one more note on the walks. The Rockies with the 6 walks today by De La Rosa. Their rotation has walked 80 guys, which is the most in baseball. Two. Kendrick being a pain in the neck. Ellis lined out. Kershaw hit a little comebacker, and then a walk to Peterson, a walk to Rollins. Top of the 6th inning, 2-2 pitch again to Kendrick. Outside, it's 3-2. Friedrich's ready, but again,
you don't want to bring him in tough spot, bases loaded. A guy like Gonzalez, you'd like to get the out right here and let him start off the next inning.
Absolutely. This is bounced to third. That's a fair ball. Safe there. And guess what? He's coming up.
And guess
what? Great jump Jock Peterson got because of the 3-2 pitch. He was off with the pitch, and so Nolan
wants to double check it. Yeah, they're going to double check this, and I think rightfully so here.
Let's see if he got his foot down first.
I think he did.
Yeah, it looks like he did. Absolutely looks like he did.
Yeah, they'll take a look at it again right now. The umpires are going over. Walt's going to appeal it. Big part of the ball game. You have to. Yeah, he's out.
You know what? I would say without question he's out. But lately, every time you think, oh yeah, you definitely see something. I guess unless there's overwhelming evidence, they don't flip it in New York. So we're into a Subaru review. Hopefully this one does get overturned because it looks like Arenado clearly got his foot down before Peterson got his spikes on the bag.
Well, it's on the back side of the bag here, and I can tell that he hit the bag. I wonder if the umpire thinks that he missed the bag, that his foot was not on top of it. But it looked like it wasn't on top of the bag, but on the side of the base. I thought Nolan got him here. Hope it falls in the Rockies' way here.
To me, he's definitely out.
I'm not saying I've been wrong for the last 2 nights. I've called them both ways for the Rockies. I thought Charlie was safe the other night when they had the play at the plate. Yeah, here we go. See ya.
There you go. That's big. Final out of the inning, and it keeps the game tied at 5 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Runs off Clayton Kershaw in the 4th inning. Nick Hundley had a big hit. And even the pitcher, Jorge De La Rosa, after a lengthy at bat, bounced one up the middle to drive in 2. But the problem is Jorge then walked the bases loaded, and Adrian Gonzalez cleared him with that double down the right field line. So we're tied up at 5 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. It'll be Stubbs, Enoa, and a pinch hitter against Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw will begin the inning with 87 pitches. Drew Stubbs an infield hit in that 4th inning, and he takes ball 1. Drew's 1 for 2. Rockies trying to end an 8-game slide. They've lost 7 in a row against the Dodgers. During the 8-game losing streak, the starters have an ERA of 8.60 and the pen over 9. There's that curveball of Clayton Kershaw's. Strike 3. It's his first strikeout since he got Stubbs in the 3rd inning. He got him looking in the 3rd also. That's 5 strikeouts for Kershaw. Let's see our CenturyLink link to what's next. Here's the upcoming schedule. That'll take you through the rest of May pretty much. The Rockies on the road. 2 against the Angels. They'll see the Dodgers again over the weekend for 4. Then they come home, play the Phillies and the Giants. And then it's off to Cincinnati and Philadelphia. It's been so long, George, since we've seen a team from outside the division.
It has been a while. There's no question about it. To get some new fresh blood in here to look at every now and then, it'll be a nice change. I think it'll be a nice change for the fans also.
That's a strike on Enoa, 1-1. Let me ask you, because Walt's been fairly outspoken on this when he's asked about it. He doesn't preemptively make this statement, but when he's been asked about the unbalanced schedule and that you play 76 games, or is it 78 games inside your own division, he thinks it's too many. He'd like to see the teams in the Central and the East more frequently. Where do you stand on that?
I like the fact you got more games against your division because you can take care of your own business as you get into September, late August, early September, that you're playing against your division. If you're down 3 or 4, it's right here in front of you.
Yeah.
Go take it. You don't have to rely on other people to go out and win the games for you. But then you have stretch runs like what you're in right now, where you're going to check this out, see if we can make a play on this.
He made a play, but Inoa beat it. So that's the second infield hit for Raffy today. Now, may change your thinking a little bit. Offensively, McHenry's going to pinch hit.
Yeah, tapped right out in front of it. Guerrero's going to make the charge, try to grab it barehanded. Kind of threw it the old Little League 3-finger throw to first base. Just about all he could do with it. Inoa beat it out. Rick Honeycutt's going to jog to the mound, so you have the conversation about Michael McHenry. And right now, McHenry, you know, is kind of that right-handed punch against the left-handed bat. And it's there to go against, maybe to get you a run. He's had 6 at-bats against Kershaw. He's yet to come up with a base hit against him, but he's only struck out once. The ball's been put in play 5 of those 6.
I think if that was a leadoff base runner, you may have seen Wall. He only has 1 right-handed bat on his bench. You may have seen Wall maybe throw up at Jordan Lyles to bunt if there was nobody out. But with one out,
yep.
With 1 out, he clearly wants a position player. So the only righty on his bench. On the left side, he's got Cargo, Morneau, Dickerson, Descalso. Here's McHenry.
Well, the Rockies have Oberg going. They also have Friedrich. Friedrich will be brought in to face Gonzalez, and then probably Oberg for Guerrero and Heisey. All the guys, when you're one of the bench players, you get by the bat rack, grab the helmet, get the gloves. You've been up taking a few swings since about the 3rd or 4th inning based on the way the game's gone. Your number could get called. Maybe more than likely what you see a lot of times, go ahead and let Inoa hit against him. And if they happen to make a flip and get into their bullpen, that's when you can make your double switches. You can put Cargo in the outfield, kind of realign things a little bit. Dickerson.
It's 3-0 on McHenry. 8 hits allowed by Kershaw. He's walked 1. Actually, he's walked 2. There was the intentional walk to Rosario.
Yep.
Todd Tishner hot.
Well, they've had
clearly.
They've had a few disagreements on both sides today. Better throw this one down the middle.
Ball 4. A 4-pitch walk to McHenry. And now that pushes Inoa to second base, the go-ahead run, with Blackman coming up.
Well, after the 1 pitch, the 2-0 count, he got a little disappointed in things coming out of that dugout. Come on, it's Mother's Day. Don't be so grumpy. Right, Doug? Your mom's not going to be proud of you, Todd. You keep doing that. 100 pitches now for Kershaw in the ballgame.
And that misses. Charlie, a strikeout, a pop out, and a ground ball to second. One ball, 1 strike. Charlie, since April the 23rd, hitting .375. That covers close to 50 at bats. Had some success against Kershaw. Came Came in with a .286 lifetime average against him, including a home run. 2 on and 1 out. Here's the 1-1. That's there, 1-2. In the last year plus, going back to the start of 2014, it's only the 4th time Kershaw has walked 3 batters or more in a game. The Rockies collectively have walked 9 today. But it's 5-5 in the 6th. And this ball's lined to right, but nearly misplayed by Hernandez.
Yeah, he's kind of jumping around. What happened out here? Tell how cold he is. You know, a lot of moisture on this field in the last 3 or 4 days. They don't have a tarp in the outfield, but he just slipped down completely there, but he's able to make the catch. Wow. Got a little snow cone action there.
2 gone. LeMahieu at the plate. DJ 0 for 2 and a walk. He's 11 for 22 runners in scoring position this year. Got a pitch to hit there.
Well, you start stacking up, but every time you start thinking about what's going on. Charlie talking about that late cutter. He was there, then just ran away from it.
Noah's at second, an infield hit. McHenry is at first. He walked. Two balls and a strike. Outfield shaded toward right center. 2-1. And it's way inside. Tulowitzki's on deck. It's 3-1.
Most pitches this year that has been thrown by Clayton Kershaw has been in this game today. 108.
And you're wondering if he loses if he loses LeMahieu, would Mattingly go to the pen to face Tulowitzki?
Well, he's had a right-hander up throwing down there. I'm pretty sure he might just make that move if he doesn't get the out here.
Just got a piece of the top portion of the forward strike zone. It's 3-2.
He sure did. Received very well by Ellis, who caught that baseball and kind of turned the glove down.
Runners will be off. Here's the 3-2. Ball 4, and now they're loaded up for Tulowitzki. And for the first time since April 23rd of 2013, Kershaw's walked 4 in a game. What's going on today?
Yeah, that just, I'll let you answer that. He wanted to strike 3 here. It is off of the plate. See Kershaw, after releasing the pitch, you can see that it's off. As a pitcher, you don't see the catcher pull the glove back. You know, that's the thing. Donnie Mattingly, not going to let it happen. He's going to the right-hander knowing that, you know what, a no decision, if it turns out that way, or even a loss in early May, if it saves him when I need you in September, then that's the way it's going to have to operate. Donnie gave him every chance he could to try to finish it up.
So Kershaw's gone with 2 outs in the 6th inning. And Pedro Baez is going to come in. He inherits a mess, bases loaded situation. Tulowitzki coming up when we come back. Sports is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Mike Shaw Subaru. Always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. Well, this is what it looked like. Well, it didn't look like that first thing in the morning. It was covered with snow, and then the Rockies staff and their great grass crew got everything cleaned up. Field looks great. Here's the situation. Bases are loaded. Tulowitzki's coming up, George, against Pedro Baez in a 5-5 game.
Never have faced each other. Tulo this year 0 for 2 with bases loaded. The Rockies 3 for 15. Baez has inherited 7 would-be base runners, and base runners in scoring position. They have not scored.
Well, they've been
outstanding.
Their bullpen, young, somewhat inexperienced, has been outstanding.
Well, they get put into situations they just don't know any better, and they succeed right now.
So here's Troy with 2 outs and the bases jammed. And he takes a look at Baez, and the first pitch is a strike.
And that's where this back end of the bullpen, you're getting that 6th, 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th, obviously, that you want these guys blowing 96, 97 miles an hour. The one thing I think that works to the advantage of their bullpen, they are young, very inexperienced, and they haven't been seen that much at the major league level.
He was back at 4th last year with the Dodgers 4 different times. Made his first opening day roster this year. Here's the 0-1. Got a big arm.
Yeah, you throw like that, no reason to get tricky. 96, 97 miles an hour.
Balanced bullpen. What I mean by that is they have 4 righties and 3 lefties. 2 strikes on Troy. Another 97-mile-an-hour fastball. It's a perfect illustration of something we've talked a lot about the last couple of years and recently, where the guy coming in the 6th inning's blowing 96, 97, 98.
That's what everybody's looking for, the big arms. Hoping to blow it right by people versus, a guy that's in that mid-90s, low 90s with a good slider, curveball.
Foul tips held. And Baez strikes out Tulowitzki with the bases loaded. So we'll go to the 7th inning, still tied at 5. plays that were reviewed both went the Rockies' way. This bang-bang play at first. And then this was a huge play because this prevented Adrian Gonzalez from coming up with the bases loaded. Initially, the runner, Peterson, was called safe. They reviewed it. Arenado had his foot on the bag for the force out, and that ended the inning and prevented Adrian Gonzalez from coming up last inning with the bases loaded. Rockies made a couple of changes. Stubbs remains in center field. Charlie Blackmon's in left. Cargo has come in, and Cargo is in right field. So Inoa has come out. Here we go in the 7th. Christian Friedrich's on the hill now, left on left. Scott Oberg continues to throw down in the Rockies bullpen. It's the 14th appearance for Friedrich. Lefty's hitting just 190 against him. And that's quickly an 0-2 count.
Gonzalez 1 for 1 in his career versus Christian Friedrich. That at bat came a year ago. That was nasty.
That was perfect. How about that? 3 pitches, off you go.
Yeah, that was Captain Nasty right here. I mean, just talk about location. Hard slider, outside corner. 86 miles an hour directly out of the hand on a Subaru Supermo. Good look at this. Great right, tight rotation on top of a very good location.
So Friedrich gets his man. Walt comes out, and he'll bring in Oberg with a string of right-handed batters due. 1 out in the 7th inning. The Rockies 5 and the Dodgers 5.
And Michael McHenry going to school together at Middle Tennessee State. You will get to know reliever Brooks Brown. Hear Jenny's interview with John Axford about his son Jameson, who threw out the first pitch. And the editors love the outtakes from the show, so they'll have some fun with me too. That's right after the game today, a new edition of Rockies Weekly. Drew, George, guys.
I didn't realize, Mark, I thought you were one take Mark. You have outtakes?
Oh, it is scary on a weekly basis.
Really?
Yeah.
For more than one.
Yeah, I am not one take Mark. Hardly.
You know what? See, nobody at home needed to know that.
Yeah. TV, it's not that easy.
It is when you're taping.
Just go red. Go live.
When you're taping, it's really easy.
Alex Guerrero against Scott Oberg, and he bounces this one foul. So Oberg settling in his first-year reliever. Alex Guerrero has hit a home run every 6.67 at bat so far in his brief big league career. That's better even than Nelson Cruz this year. And Bryce Harper, who seems to hit like 2 home runs a game, or 3 some days. He had 6 in 3 games. The only guy who's hit more home runs in a 3-game span in the history of the game was Sean Green.
Well, that's right.
when he hit 7. He was part of that 4-homer game in Milwaukee. Whoa, up and in. A little chin music.
Yeah, it almost looked like maybe that foot slipped out a little bit. This ball took off on a hard run in, right on the hands of Guerrero.
You will never move faster.
And feel a little more, not as much as comfortable as you did in the previous pitch, particularly when you paint the outside corner with it at 94.
Baseball's such a funny game, George. I recall that Sean Green, when he went up and went 6 for 6 with the 4 homers, a double and a single, 19 total bases, was in a pretty bad slump leading into that ball game.
Yeah, well, things changed pretty quick.
Oh, we had a fumble. I'm at the game in May, mid-May. I got a blanket. I got the ski jacket on. All's good. Temperatures hit 40, Frage. We're all right. Started at 37. It's climbing. That's because you took that heater and it stopped oscillating. I knew I was getting cold. What you doing?
Well, you know, age factor. Yeah, pretty nice crowd here too. At the ballpark, Mother's Day, but after all the rain, snow, and everything else you got. Yep, got him.
Strike 3.
It's a nice way for your bullpen to come in and do a little work. Strike out by Friedrich of Adrian Gonzalez. Some nasty sliders, come right back to another nasty slider and get him.
We'll talk more about this on Tuesday, Frage, but this is such an odd week. So the Rockies rained out Monday, rained out Tuesday, get in a double dip on Wednesday. Thursday's an off day. Here's Heisey. Friday you get in an abbreviated game. Unfortunately, you lose 2-1 because you can't continue. Saturday you rained out. Sunday you're playing in a game in the 30s. Tomorrow's an off day. You'll play again Tuesday. These guys since Little League haven't gone this long playing that few amount of games.
And temperature changes that you're going to fluctuate around with. You've been in the 30s today. Yesterday was in the 40s, 50s the day before. Now, it was pretty chilly Friday night in here. Now you're going to jump out to Southern California where it's going to be nice. Yeah, hopefully they go out there and they play well. Get a win here today and then go out to the West Coast and play really well.
1-2 on Heisey. Tied at 5, top of 7. Rockies trying to end an 8-game losing streak.
Now, Boone Logan's out in the bullpen right now warming up too. So if you look at the bench for Don Mattingly, he's got Ethier on the left side. He's got Grandal if he wants to go that way, but I doubt that he would this early in the ball game. The thing is, you want to have that decoy up because he could take Enrique Hernandez out. He could go to the left-handed Ethier. That ricocheted off the glove and hit the shin guard. 3-2 count now. You want to be able to play that chess game on a big part of the ball game. That's why he's got Boone up and going.
Three-two on Heisey. Got him. Strike 3. He knew it. Tried to pretend he walked. The Rockies strike out the side as Friedrich struck out Gonzalez, and then Oberg got Guerrero and Heisey. I'm Drew Goodman. Our Root Sports crew has had an interesting week also. A lot of work and a lot of standing around and waiting and watching the grounds crew do their thing all week long. I mentioned it earlier that 6 tons of diamond dry has been used this week by Mark Razum and his crew. And Raz told me before the game that usually will take 2 or more months for them to go through.
It's been a tough week, no question about it.
Well, the Rockies will have Nolan Arenado against Pedro Baez. Willeen Rosario, Nick Hundley will follow. Baez got the final out in the 6th inning. Bases loaded. Tulowitzki came up. So the final line on Kershaw, 5 1/3, 5 runs, all earned. 8 hits, 4 walks, most in more than 2 years. He struck out 5. Heavy fastballs outside. Ball 1 on Nolan. Doubled his last time up. 5 runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. They're in this game because the Rockies have walked 9. 6 by De La Rosa. He walked the bases loaded in the 5th inning and then gave up a bases clearing double to Adrian Gonzalez after the Rockies were ahead 5-2. I can't look at you right now.
You're going to have to here in a minute. So is everybody at home, unfortunately.
Justin Morneau putting the gloves on. Rosario's on deck. And if the Rockies obviously were to take a lead, you know that late in the ball game they bring in Morneau, but there's the possibility that he may pinch hit for Willeen right here. Talking about Walt. 2-1 on Arenado. Three and 1 on Nolan. Dodgers, one of the few teams the Rockies do not have a winning record against all time at home. They're 10 games beneath 500 at Coors Field historically against LA. It's been a rough ride lately. They've lost 15 of their last 18 to the Dodgers in 7 straight. Boy, a win today would go a long ways. The off day coming tomorrow.
You just leave with a lot better taste in your mouth.
This is a fair ball, and the throw is made by Guerrero to get Arenado.
Hey, May 24th, 10,000 fans through the gates. Guess what you're going to get? A mullet hat. That's right. It's all sponsored by Jack Links. And Drew, you could use one of these. This is the way Drew actually used to look a while back, a long while back, like in the 80s. Pretty nice, huh? A little Dante look.
You need to bathe.
I thought it looked more like Christian Bergman.
Greasy.
I think it looked like Christian Bergman.
Does look like Bergman,
yeah. A little bit, yeah. Pretty excited about the hat. Make sure you get here for that giveaway. It comes on May 24th, so make sure you're here at the ballpark. The Giants will be in town.
That actually looks like my partner in the winter. He's in a deer stand, and he'll send me a picture. The only difference is he also has a lot of facial hair.
Yeah, I do have the white beard working. There's no question. Santa Claus got to get in shape for Santa. Grandkids are coming over.
The deer see that, and they run the other direction.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Here's the 0-1. Willeen at the plate, and he waves at that pitch, and it's 0-2. 89-mile-an-hour slider. Went back to it.
Dougie, you know what I think I need to do right now? How do you do this, Dougie? Do you know how to do all this stuff?
He doesn't know what you're doing.
Selfie. How do you do those, Dougie? You flip it around like that? How do you do that? Like,
push the button on top.
I got it. I don't want to picture you. See, take one of these, and then Drew, I'll let you, since you are the tweet master of America.
I'll tweet it out for you. That's a base hit up the middle. That a baby, Willeen. He's been on 3 times this afternoon in his return to the big leagues. Nick Hundley will come up. Nick had an RBI single in that 5-run 4th inning. Also extended his hitting streak to 12 games.
How you do this thing? You do it like that? Don't touch it.
I'm trying to help you.
Okay, so.
Right, let me have
Got it.
Oh, no, you know what? I got to take it. I'll take it. Let me take it. I'll take it and I'll tweet it out.
What do I do to this thing? You're going to what? We got to win a ball game right now.
No, I'm just going to take it. It won't take me long. Hundley at the plate. Look at me, smile. That's scary. Big swing, 0-1. If that person knocked on your door, would you let him in?
No, I would not. There's no question. Hundley has swung the bat well, particularly he can take that ball to the right side. The Rockies have out hit the Dodgers 9-5 in this ball game, yet tied 5-5.
One ball, one strike. One out, Rosario at first. You okay with the caption?
Which I can't read that. My partner. Yeah, perfect.
Is it scary?
Yeah.
Dot, dot, dot. Way inside. Well, you got to cheat with this guy, man. This big arm, Pedro
Yes, it
Baez.
is. Now Betancourt's going down in the Rockies bullpen right now. So if you look at the Dodger lineup, it's Hernandez, Ellis, and then the pitcher spot. You got to prepare for what you're going to get. He's the guy to pitch in the 8th inning in a tie ball game. It's Betancourt's turn.
This is a bouncer toward the hole. Rollins will get the force. So Stubbs 1 for 3 will come up. Pulled the bunt back, but it was in there for a strike. That was a called strike.
Well, another look at this pitch, outside corner, pitcher's pitch. It did barely, if it did catch it. You know, from the strike zone, looked like it was off a little bit.
Hundley at first, 2 strikes. Nick takes off, and now he's hung up. Go down as a caught stealing. That ends the inning, and we'll go to the 8th inning, tied at 5. recap, it's a 5-5 game. The Rockies scored 5 off Clayton Kershaw in the 4th inning to take a 5-2 lead. Unfortunately, Jorge De La Rosa, who'd been pitching pretty well, all of a sudden struggled with his command. And he walked 3 straight guys, and then Adrian Gonzalez happened. He drove this ball to the right field corner, and everybody scored. That tied it up. Since then, the bullpens have been sharp. Scott Oberg continuing on, and Kike Hernandez is at the plate, and he takes ball 1 here at the top of the 8th inning. Hernandez, A.J. Ellis, and a pinch hit. Ooh, look at this! It's gotten so cold. Was he wearing that earlier? He looks like an NFL player getting ready to put a helmet on. Drives that ball through the left side for a leadoff single here in the 8th. Justin Turner is in the on-deck circle. A.J. Ellis is going to be asked to bunt. He gets it down. It's a good bunt.
Yeah, really good bunt. Snap throw over, and lean catch and stop. They were able to get him advanced.
I like how you described it. The catch and stomp.
That's what it was. He catch and stomp on the bag and have to find it right here. Walene's going to make a commitment. Now you've got to really bust it and get back to the bag. He's backpedaling, waiting on the throw to come, and then, oop, better get the bag.
So Justin Turner, who's been outstanding off the bench and in a part-time starter role for Don Mattingly this year. In fact, on Friday night, he hit the 3-hole.
6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Does that tell you anything? 429 average. Wow.
He's hitting 389 in May, and was that a foul ball or no? Evidently not. Went off the glove of Nick Hundley, and now you're going to have to pull the infield in because the runner moves to third base, Hernandez.
Subaru Supermo right here. Going to see a swing miss cleanly, closed early, eyes shut. A lot of catchers do that. They'll blink on a swing sometimes and just snap the glove a little bit early. Caught right off the webbing.
So 1 out, infield in. And this will get the job done in plenty. In fact, it's going to get on out here. Justin Turner has had, as we said, an extraordinary year off the bench for LA. He just hit a 2-run 8th inning home run, and the Dodgers out in front 7-5.
His 5th and 12th RBI.
The one issue with Scott Oberg, who has really good stuff in his maiden voyage in the big leagues, George, is he's given up some long balls.
Yes, he has, and the unfortunate side. Let's look at this. Slider, thought it was maybe a fastball, but it's a 78-mile-an-hour slider, and you can see that he read it out of the hand because that timing was impeccable by Turner. On a ball that was down in the zone, drove it to the deepest part, right center field of Coors Field. No wind right now, no effects of that. They'll go to Boone Logan down in the bullpen.
So we'll get a pitching change. Logan will be aboard. 4th home run for Turner this month. at-bats in the month of May, and he has 4 home runs. That is extraordinary. The Rockies head to California to take on the Angels for their first interleague matchup of the year. Make sure to tune in to Root Sports Tuesday evening, 7:30 begins everything with the pregame show in the Mountain Time Zone, and then the baseball game about 40 minutes later. 2 against Mike Trout and the Angels, and then 4 against these Dodgers. Here's Jock Peterson against Boone Logan. Slider misses, ball 1. Way outside, 2-0. There's a strike.
Yeah, good breaking ball there. He started to fade with his hands. The body started going forward, gave up on everything.
Slider for a strike, 2-2. Starting to peek ahead. The Rockies will have Stubbs again at the plate, then Cargo, and a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 8th inning. Misses, and it's a full count. Jock Peterson with Jimmy Rollins on deck. 7-5 LA, 1 out in the 8th. It's getting cold again. George dropped to 39.
Well, I thought it was, I saw some gray clouds earlier, and I felt like it got cold. A little misty there. Big swing on a slider at 80 miles an hour. It has gotten colder. It feels that way to me, that's for sure. You can see it on the Subaru Supermo. Big bender here. Can see those legs, that front side back off, and then the foul tip off the mask.
Perfect example too of, they extended those masks years ago. That's one that would have been throat high.
Yeah, that's that hockey mask too. That's makes a little difference to it. Absorb it sometimes.
Five runs, 9 hits for the Rockies. 7 runs, 7 hits for the Dodgers. And we learned that the game from yesterday that was rained out has been rescheduled for June the 2nd as part of a split doubleheader. This is fouled off. Time called by Peterson. I think that's the toughest thing a home plate umpire has to do, George. You were in your windup sometimes, and boom, they call time, and it's just natural. If I say time, you're going to put your hands up, the umpire, and right. Sometimes it's too late, quite frankly.
Way too late. If you're started, the arm delivery starting to come forward, there's no way you should give time.
And Boone loses Peterson, so now you have speed at first, and Rollins coming up. That's 10 walks. 10 walks in a Major League Baseball game.
Well, quite honest, tell you walk 10 guys in a ball game, you don't deserve to win that ball game. Pretty simple. They're hard to win when it's like that.
Rollins swings and misses. Kershaw walked 4 in 5 2/3. And to give you an idea how unusual that was, he hadn't done that in a game in 25 months. one other team that's walked 10 in a game this year, and that was a few days ago. Wouldn't you know it, it was Milwaukee taking on these Dodgers. Dodgers are good enough. They don't need any help.
Well, you know, they got so much talent up and down their lineup. A lot of times you start to pitch around that, not on purpose, but just trying to be careful to it. And, Don Mattingly and this new regime at the top has obviously reconstructed a lot of things.
Two and one on Rollins. Peterson. He's one of those base runners, George, and he's going to steal bases. He did in the minor leagues. We talked about it. Davey Loeb's consulting with him. One of those base runners. He never gets his feet completely set. So you always kind of get the feeling like he's about to go.
Could go at any point. That's exactly right. And again, once he gets around the league a little bit more, where he understands the pitching staff, you're not relying just on video. You're actually seeing that move, visualizing it. Then you maybe become a little better at the art of stealing a base.
He may take off here. Three and two on Rollins. He's already walked twice in the game. Logan worried that he may walk, may run. Ken Roberts is throwing to the Rockies bullpen. Peterson not going, and it's lined to center field for a base hit. Peterson's going to cut the bag and head to third. Rollins has put one of the masks on.
It's gotten much colder here in the ballpark, I can tell you that now. You're starting to see players walk around and get their hands in their back pockets. Arenado and Tulowitzki both have that. Trying to keep the throwing hand warm enough where they can throw it. You see Roberts warming up. It's definitely gotten colder here.
Kendrick a single and a walk. He's 1 for 3. He scored a run. Talked a lot about the 10 walks, but it's hitters counts also. Hitters eliminate, you can eliminate pitches, right, George? You get yourself in 3-1, 2-0 count, start eliminating all the nasty stuff.
No question about it.
That's a good spot. 1-1. Peterson at third, Rollins at first, so outstanding speed aboard. One and two on Kendrick. Boone Logan staying away from Howie.
Well, a lot of times you get in this situation, you're thinking about hitting the ball hard. You want to hit the ball in the air. You're looking to pull off the ball a little bit. Going back out there again from the shift of what I see out of Hundley, and he does, and pokes it to right. Isn't this something?
That is a fair ball right on the line. One run is scored. Rollins to third, and it's 8-5 LA. 16th RBI for Howie Kendrick.
I mean, it's just kind of mother luck today, man. You can't figure out how this is happening because that ball's slicing. You're thinking foul ball, right-handed hitter slicing away off the left-hander. No, you'll see the paint fly. They don't have chalk down there now. The paint fly on the grassy surface, and there you go. Man, oh man.
Strike on Adrian Gonzalez. 3 more RBIs today for Gonzalez. 28 on the season. front. He pops it up. Tulo's got a long way to go, and he makes the catch, pivots, throws, and Rollins scores, and moving up's Kendrick. And that ball goes into center field. Kendrick will stay at second. In a perfect world, it's Stubbs who could get there, but he was deep naturally with Gonzalez, and Adrian Gonzalez gets your basic 160-foot sac fly, maybe 175 feet.
Exactly. He just flips it off the end of the bat. And Tulo, nice play to be able to get back and even catch it and make this throw off balance. Arm strength displayed there by Tulowitzki. But it's not going to be enough to get the runner at the plate. As Tulo turns, fires all the way in. That short hop. Good job by Nick trying to short hop and apply the tag. He's able to hang on to it, and he just sidestepped out of the way of the base runner, Alex Guerrero, coming in. The inning not over with yet, and the Dodgers on top 9-5. They put another crooked number up there, 4 here in the 8th.
You have to assign an error to Tulowitzki for allowing Kendrick to move up. It's pick up by Hundley. So tough, it goes as a sack. Yeah, it's a tough error. It goes as a sack fly to the shortstop. You don't see that very frequently. 4 ribbies for Gonzalez. 9-5. You know, when they scored the 3 runs to tie it up in the 5th inning, they had only 1 hit, the double by Gonzalez. And this is another pop fly in almost the same spot. LeMahieu going out. Stubbs will call him off. Well, it was a 5-5 game. The Dodgers add 4. 9-5. Bottom of the 8th. Upcoming.
Road at Anaheim against the Angels on Tuesday. Here he is talking about his mom, Kelly.
Mom was always getting us to games, practices. I played 3 sports, and football, baseball, basketball, and she always got us to practices and games, and always was she was a big support in my life and with sports, and still is to this day.
Guys, that's pretty much the familiar story from all these players, from when they were little leaguers, you know, to today, their mom being instrumental in their careers. So there's Kyle Kendrick.
Yeah, I think mom's instrumental in guys who make it to the big leagues, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of kids that play and don't get to the big leagues. Justin Turner at third base, and Adam Liberatore is on the mound. How about his maiden voyage in the big leagues? He's faced 23 hitters. He's retired 22 of them.
Yeah, how about that? Go figure that out. Where's he been hiding the whole time? Man, oh man. 7 ball games so far, 7 2/3, 7 strikeouts. Left-handers have not got a hit, and right-handers just 1.
Just downhill from here on out, I guess, right? 0-2. That misses. This guy with big arm. He throws in the mid-90s on the left side. Acquired by the Dodgers from Tampa with Joel Peralta, who's on the DL. Peralta was doing some closing in the absence of Jansen in exchange for Greg Harris and Jose Dominguez during the offseason.
65 innings last year in AAA. He struck out 86.
He was 6-1 with a small ERA for Durham last year. And he starts out with a strikeout of Stubbs. That'll bring up Cargo for the first time. He came to the ball game an inning ago. Who wants tacos? Fans follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. Rafael Inoa was 2 for 3 in an RBI. And that's a curveball that slipped out of his hand. It's 1-0. Two and 0.
Hey, Dougie, can you do me a favor? Could you look out how many people have been from the Tennessee Technology University, please?
Tennessee Tech, George, is that what you're trying to spit out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Tennessee Tech. This ball's hit hard on the ground, but right at Jimmy Rollins. 2 outs. Tennessee Tech's actually not a bad program.
4 guys.
See? Daniel Descalso will hit for Boone Logan. Rockies have nothing but lefties on their bench. The only righty was McHenry. He was used already. Rockies are going to see a couple lefties against the Angels. C.J. Wilson, the former Ranger, and Hector Santiago.
Both guys have sub-3 ERAs. C.J. Wilson with a 2.71 and the other guy 2.9. They pitched well. Anaheim coming into today's play second at 14-16 under the hot Houston Astros with a 6-game lead.
Well, they beat the Astros today 3-1. 1-1 on Descalso outside, 2-1 on Daniel. Hey, Houston's been cooled off a little bit.
Still kind of a nice story in baseball.
Sure it is. Been down for a while. Down the third base line, Turner makes a very nice play, and he gets Descalso. 1-2-3 inning for Adam Liberatore. 9-5 Dodgers as we go to the ninth. Jenny Cavnar's in center field. Jenny?
Hey, Drew, coming up in the Toyota postgame show, we will wrap up the week that was here at Coors Field. It wasn't that productive weather-wise and game-wise for the Colorado Rockies. We'll also set you up for the road trip ahead. And Drew and George, one thing I can promise you, the weather will be better in California.
Jenny, I think you are absolutely correct. And in celebration, I think I'm going to put a bathing suit on right now.
No, please don't. Just continue
please,
on.
thank you. Please, please. Come on now.
By the way, Jenny, did you have a comment on Frazier's, when he put on the...
Yeah, I was going to say, are you guys starting a new reality show called Mullets and Swimsuits? Inappropriate.
You're the best.
Yeah. No, we're not.
I'll take a selfie with a mullet hat on. I want to see Drew take a selfie in the Speedo.
Come on now.
Third ball
That ain't
game now
happening.
for Ken Roberts. He's got a 9 ERA right now. A couple innings worked with 2 strikeouts. Left-handers have yet to get a hit from him. Now we're going to go ahead and let Liberatore swing. That's Heisey swinging it back.
No, it's Chris
Excuse
Heisey.
me. Saw the beard, a big guy.
First pitch swinging, popped up in the neighborhood of DJ LeMahieu. He's waving his arms. DJ, nobody's going to interfere. He's got it, 1 out. And that'll bring up Enrique Hernandez. Hernandez is 1 for 3 and a walk. He has scored a run. He's driven in a run. Again, 9 runs, 9 hits, no errors for Los Angeles. 5 runs, 9 hits, and an error on the Rockies. As the Rockies do something special in the bottom of the 9th inning, they're staring at their 9th straight loss. Very surprisingly at home, they're 4-8 right now. Mentioned in Tennessee Tech, Ken Roberts out of Middle Tennessee, like Mike McHenry. 3-1. It's like the concession guy, George, came by with all these Dodger blue, head warmers, and everybody bought one.
Yep. Good pitch.
Yep.
Nasty.
Swung on and missed, and Hernandez is gone.
The Rockies will send up Blackman, LeMahieu, and Tulowitzki to start it here in the 9th inning. Good hard slider down in the bottom part of the zone, able to get the strikeout. You see it on the Subaru Supermo. Good hard rotation and spin out in front. Good job of pitching.
A.J. Ellis. Dodgers are at home tomorrow. They begin a 3-game set against the Marlins. Marlins lost at AT&T against the Giants today, 3-2. There's another strike, going 2.
Washington's starting to heat up. They got another win today. They're now 16-15, just 2.5 back behind the Mets.
There's too much talent on that team to, especially in that rotation, and keep them down for a long period, you would think. 1-2-3 inning for Ken Roberts. So we'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Rockies are down by 4 runs. Charlie Blackman will lead it off. The fourth, nothing else since. Nick Hundley has a 12-game hitting streak. Adrian Gonzalez has driven in 4. Justin Turner off the bench, a 2-run home run. At that point in time, they broke up a 5-5 tie in the 8th and gave the Dodgers a 7-5 lead. They added 2 more in that 8th inning. So Charlie Blackmon will lead it off for the Rockies in the 9th. The Rockies led this game 5-2 at one point against Clayton Kershaw. The walks in large measure the undoing today. Jorge De La Rosa went out and walked the first 3 right after that, and then gave up a 3-run double to Adrian Gonzalez. Liberatore staying in there, and his first pitch is in there for a strike. Pedro Baez is on the plus side. Scott Oberg has the hook. Charlie's 0 for 4. And Kendrick's going to throw him out. 1 out in the 9th. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Now Don Mattingly's going to piecemeal it. He's got some right-handed hitters coming up, so he's going to go take the baseball from Liberatore.
Well, nice job. Kid comes in, throws an inning and a third, no hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout.
He's going to bring in another guy, George, that's been impressive, Yimi Garcia. So Garcia will come in a 9-5 ball game. We're in the 9th. Bob at the ballpark and hope for a big 9th inning rally. 1 out, and our crew diligently preparing for the post-game show. You know, Spilly is. Taking selfies everywhere, huh?
I guess.
That's your first career selfie earlier, wasn't it, George?
Absolutely, it was.
Yimi Garcia is aboard for the Dodgers.
And obviously pretty good here. The ERA 0.66, that's 3rd. Strikeouts, 3rd. Opposition average, all those things in the top 5 in baseball.
Well, we mentioned earlier as DJ steps in, and that pitch misses, ball win. Kershaw and Greinke have been good. Kershaw hasn't been dominant. You know, he's been good. The numbers haven't been great, but the numbers for Greinke have been outstanding. Greinke will go tomorrow against the Marlins. But the rest of the rotation has an ERA close to 5. And you say, well, how are the Dodgers 19-10? They have a great offense, and this bullpen of a bunch of guys many of you have never heard of has been outstanding.
They have been.
Two balls and a strike. Rolling big arms out of there. Garcia's got kind of a slender frame, but Great arm speed. He's in the mid-90s.
Short, quick arm action, hard. At the 94 seems like it's a whole lot more than 94. And that was 93 with that fastball, but because of the way the delivery comes on you. A short, quick arm, that 93 picks up to, it'll appear to a hitter because of the late life on the ball at 94, 95.
Two on LeMahieu. And the Rockies down to their final out. Tulowitzki coming up. Troy Singleton scored in that fourth inning in which the Rockies got all of their runs. A couple strikeouts and a line out. Crowd of 30,710 on this Mother's Day. Two-strike count on Tulowitzki. Swung on and missed, and the Dodgers win in come-from-behind fashion 9-5 this afternoon. The Rockies' losing streak extends to 9 games, and for just the third time in their history, they go winless on a homestand, albeit it was one that was abbreviated and altered considerably by the bad weather. But the Dodgers have now won 8 straight against the Rockies overall. The Dodgers are 20-10. The Rockies fall to 11-17. Pedro Baez gets the victory. He's 1-0. It's his first major league win. And Scott Oberg takes the loss. He is 1-1. Justin Turner was in the middle of things, despite the fact that he entered the ball game very late. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Justin Turner, 8th inning, 19th at bat in the month of May, and he hits his 4th home run in May. A 2-run shot that broke up the tie. The Dodgers go on to win it 9-5 this afternoon. When we come back, we'll get you to center field. The Toyota postgame show will be next. The Dodgers over the Rockies this afternoon.